Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Today is Wednesday, June 21st, 2023, and we're here for a town board meeting, and we're also here for a CDA meeting. And as always, we're going to begin with the Pledge of Allegiance, and Bob, can you please take the lead?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Bob. And Frank, do we have anyone from the faith community with us here
We
today?
do. We have one of our favorites, and I'm not going to get all gushy about it, but we have Reverend Mary Cooper from the House of Praise Christian Revival Center, and we're always delighted to have you. Thank you for being with us tonight.
And she always has a smile.
Praise God. Please join me in prayer. You may remain seated today. Lord, we thank you for this beautiful day that you have made, and we will rejoice and be glad in it. And Lord, we thank you for you are the God of our silent tears. You have brought us this far all along the way. We ask that you will anoint those who are over us, O God, our fathers and our mother, who are leading and guiding this community, O God, for you have made it so great. We thank you. We ask the blessings upon all the people that are here and their families, oh God, that they'll get home safe. And we ask, oh God, that they will listen to each other, that they remember that they are families and they are neighbors. And you said love each other. And we give you praise, we give you glory, and we thank you for this meeting. And we give you all the blessings in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
Thank you, Reverend.
Thank you, Frank, and thank you, Reverend. Okay, I have one quick announcement today. The Riverhead Business Improvement District, also known as the BID, is looking for volunteers to assist with their Live on 25 events. Anyone interested in volunteering should visit downtownriverhead.org for details and information. The first Live on 25 is slated for June 30th, and that's a week from this coming Friday. It's all going to include fireworks, and that's usually a great turnout. We can have upwards of 10,000 people. It grows every year. And I know we're all looking forward to these events. You can also check the BID website for all future events. There's also a sign outside posted with all our events, and we want to give a shout out to Christine Verity for her relentless work. She is so dedicated to this town, and we appreciate everything that you do, especially in our downtown, getting visitors to come, coordinating all these events all the way until December. She's working on events. And today we have a very busy agenda, and we're going to move forward. Can I have a first and a second to close the town board meeting and to open the community development meeting, please?
So moved.
Second.
Diane, please take the vote.
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
The town board meeting is closed and the CDA meeting is now open.
Okay, before us we have the CDA director, Dawn Thomas, is going to lead this, her CDA meeting. Good evening.
Good evening, members. We have a short agenda. We need a motion to approve the minutes of the regular meeting of May 17th at 6 p.m. And I guess we would take comments on that resolution if there are any.
So moved.
Okay? Seeing no comments, we can take a motion in a second.
So moved. Second.
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
The minutes of the regular meeting of May 17th are approved, and now we would go to open comments from the public on CDA members only.
Anyone want to come forward? Okay, I don't see anyone.
Okay, then we can have a motion to close the CDA meeting and open the town board meeting.
So moved.
Can I get a second? Okay.
Okay. Kern.
Thank you, Dawn.
Yes.
Are you closed already? Did you vote already?
Oh, we have to vote.
Kern.
Diane?
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Okay, the CDA meeting is closed and town board meeting reopened.
Okay, thank you.
Supervisor, can I just, they're saying that they don't think the live feed is up.
Oh, they
We're
don't?
gonna do a, because I don't know, Chip, can you check to make sure we
Chip,
have a
can you
live
check?
feed? Especially because we're doing public hearings.
And it's been happening lately a lot.
We really need to start about 15 minutes early and do it 10, let it roll for a bit. The website is on. The television's on.
Okay, so channel 22 is working? Okay, it's verified that it's working?
It says it's
He's
working.
nodding, yes.
Yes, you say
Okay,
yes.
It's
perfect.
just not on live, okay,
Okay,
thank you.
okay, no problem. Again, thank you, Dawn, and we're gonna move forward. Can I have a first and a second to approve the, the minutes to a regular town board meeting dated June 6, 2023, please?
So moved.
Second?
Vote, please.
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrod.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
The minutes are approved.
And Diane, do we have any correspondence or any figures to report?
Yes, we do. Under correspondence, Catherine Caldwell sent a letter regarding a moratorium and EEIS on warehouses, distribution center, and storage facility. Marlene DiFilippo sent a letter in opposition to air cargo proposal. David Jaffe sent a letter in opposition to CAT project. Lee Coleman sent a letter regarding warehouses and requesting a moratorium, GIS, and time. Kelly McClinchy sent a letter with questions on the special town board meeting resolutions 445 and 446. EPCAL Watch Coalition sent a letter regarding CAT and the CDA joint application. Finnegan Law sent a letter regarding YMB Real Estate LLC, that's 740 Main Road, Accaboog. Ron Herreri sent a letter regarding YMB Real Estate, that's also 740 Main Road, Accaboog. Michelle Doherty, or Doherty, I'm not quite sure how to say that, sent a letter regarding CAT and the use of the EPCAL property. Barbara Cataletto sent in a letter with attachments, and she is with New York Citizens Audit. Under reports, tax receiver total, utility collection report for May was $316,600.74. Tax receiver total tax collection to date as of June 14th was $171,119,698.58. And the police department submitted their May 2023 report. And that's all.
Good, thank you, Diane. Okay. We're going to now begin the public hearing portion of this meeting today. The first public hearing is scheduled for 6:05. It is now 6:12 p.m., and we're going to commence on this meeting for consideration of the combined site plan application and DEIS at 203-13 East Main Street to construct a 5-story mixed-use building. I'm going to ask planner Greg Berman to briefly give us an overview of this site plan. Greg, good evening.
Thank you. Good evening, Supervisor, board members. For the record, Greg Bergman, planner with the town of Riverhead. So as you stated, this is a combined public hearing on a draft environmental impact statement and a site plan application, which is seeking site plan approval to construct a 5-story mixed-use building consisting of 155 on-site parking stalls, on grade and below grade, ground floor commercial lobby leasing and amenity space, and a total of 165 residential apartments on upper floors with a unit mix consisting of 52 studios, 80 one-bedroom units, 33 two-bedroom units. The site includes a fire apparatus access road along the western property boundary, which will serve as emergency access, as well as access to the on-site parking garages. The project site is comprised of 4 separate parcels of land located at 203-213 East Main Street in downtown Riverhead within the Downtown Center 1 zoning use district, more particularly described as Suffolk County Tax Map numbers 600-126-1-17, 18, 19, and 20. The project site has a total area of 61,987 square feet, or 1.42 acres. Just a brief history on the application. The town board issued a positive declaration on the application in May of 2018. Subsequently, the board held 2 public scoping sessions to receive comments on the draft scope. Those were held on October 2nd and October 16th, 2018. A draft environmental impact statement was submitted to the town in September of 2019, which at the time was deemed inadequate for public review and was never circulated. Due to delays related to the COVID pandemic and after numerous meetings between the applicant and town departments to discuss project design, a revised site plan was submitted to the town in September 2022, and a revised DEIS was submitted to the town in January of 2023, of which the project incorporated many significant revisions, including fire safety components as well as downtown pattern book compliance. This project was reviewed by Barry Long, president of UDA, the author of the downtown pattern book, and they did have significant involvement in the redesign. The town board accepted the DEIS on May 2nd, 2023, and the document has been available on the town's planning department website, as well as in the planning department for a period in excess of 30 days in accordance with secret requirements. The DEIS was distributed to involved agencies for their review and comment. The town of Southampton was noticed more than 10 days in advance of tonight's public hearing in accordance with New York General Municipal Law, Section 239, double N, subsection 4. With that said, we do have members of the applicant's project team who are here to answer any questions that the board may have. Without further ado, I believe I will hand it over to John Wagner, who's the applicant's attorney.
Greg, I just have one quick question. How long
Yes.
has this project been worked on? When was it first filed?
Probably in 2017,
That long?
yes.
Okay. Well, maybe it's time to have a decision made on it. So who are you gonna turn it over to, Greg, you said?
I believe it's John Wagner, who's the attorney for the applicant.
Okay.
I'll let him
Mr.
introduce
Wagner?
himself.
Did you wanna come and get a chair and sit up front? Does, anyone wanna join you on this project? You come forward? There's chairs on the side, they can grab them. You wanna grab a chair, or you wanna go to the podium? You prefer that? All right. Okay.
Okay, good evening,
Good evening.
Madam Chairman, and also Councilman. My name is John Wagner. I'm a partner with the law firms Tillman, Ballin, Adler, and Hyman of Hop, New York, here tonight representing the applicant. I'm not going to repeat facts and figures for you because Mr. Bergman did a very able job of doing that already, so we won't put anybody to sleep with those again. I will reiterate something that the supervisor mentioned. This project has been pending since 2017. This day, this evening is a long time coming, and a lot has happened over those years. We have, as part of tonight's application, a very comprehensive draft environmental impact statement, DEIS, which is also on for hearing tonight. It's been publicly available for quite a while for people to review. And I would like to say that since 2017, we've had an ongoing dialogue with the town and its various consultants, including Mr. Long, who was already mentioned, other representatives of the town. I believe, having been a party to those discussions, that these discussions were quite fruitful. They resulted in evolution in the original project, taking into account all comments that were received. We were looking at various issues, compliance with zoning, of course, and as you know, we have a 5-story building that's compliant with the DC1 zoning that applies to the property. Although you wouldn't know it from looking at the renderings, because we've done a good job of camouflaging, if you will, that 5th floor. So, and we did that in part in response to the pattern book that the town has as part of its considerations. We did as much as we could to comply with pattern book guidelines, and that was part of the evolution I mentioned, constantly refining and redesigning until we reached a product that everybody seems to be comfortable with on the part of the town and the applicants. Now, I have several representatives of the applicants here tonight, applicants themselves, and also we have the environmental consultant for the project, we have the architects for the project, we have the engineers for the project. So, I mean, if any technical questions come up that need answering tonight, I'm sure that we can all address those. But primarily, our purpose tonight is not to steal time from the world, but to basically watch and listen to the comments that come before this board. So with that, I'm going to leave the podium. I'm going to turn it over to Sean Sally, representative of the applicant, who would like to make a brief statement on behalf of the applicant. Thank you.
So before we do that, can we have Greg come up? Greg, is he here? Did he leave? I just want to ask you a question, because I know there's been a lot of concerns and everybody's saying all these apartments on Main Street, but this falls within the last count, the 500 and something apartments. Can you just make that clear to the public?
Well, so yes, right now there is a cap of 500 residential units within the DC1 zoning district. The way that language is worded currently in our town code specifically calls out upon the issuance of a 500th certificate of occupancy that residential units on upper floors shall be prohibited. Right now, we are not at that cap,
Okay.
but projects that are pending, if everything was approved, we would exceed that cap. But right now,
Okay.
with this project, we have not hit that cap yet.
And this project was included in those 500? So.
Well, I mean, yes, I mean, the cap came when the code was adopted, but yes, this application was submitted and we have not hit that cap.
And was submitted before everything else, right? You're saying 2017, and so, and the cap is not there yet. So I just want to be clear that maybe that will clarify, because there's some misunderstanding. Thank you for doing that. And sir, did you want to come forward? Good afternoon.
Thank you, and I will also make my remarks very brief. Thank you, Madam Supervisor, the Town Board, for holding this joint site plan seeker hearing this evening. My name is Sean Sally, and I'm the Director of Planning and Development for Heatherwood. Heatherwood is the largest ground-up developer, owner, and operator of multifamily properties in both Nassau and Suffolk counties. We have over 70 years of experience in the residential real estate business on Long Island, and we have never sold a multifamily community. We are a vested, long-term partner. And I'd also just like to, provide or explain our excitement to be part of Alec and Rob's team. We understand this project has been going on for a few years, and I think this team is very willing and ready to get this project completed with the support of the town. So again, we're very excited to be part of this team. I think for Heatherwood, what really attracted us to this project is the leadership that the town has shown, especially in downtown planning and revitalization. Between the pattern book, the parking study, the town square, I think that information resonates. It really sends a clear message that there's community buy-in, that there's community support, again, through the leadership, again, Rivershead is open for business, and we really appreciate that the town sort of sending that clear message. So just wanted to make sure that we were able to share that information with you. And as John mentioned, we're here to answer any questions the town may have.
Okay, thank you, sir. Anyone else on this project? Okay, we're going to open it up for, if I don't hear from anyone. Chip, is there anyone online?
No one has comment.
Okay, nobody raised their hands. So we're going to open it up to the public, whoever wants to come forward to provide comments, opinions on this project. Good afternoon.
Hi, thank you for holding this. My name is Linda Nemeth, I'm from Calverton.
Okay.
And I have a few bits that I need clarified about the project, as what, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
That sound loud, okay. As well as some comments. Number one, I read that they're using these helical pilings. Does that mean that there will not be the kind of vibration and pounding that I heard all the way over in my house in Calverton for months and months, shaking the house as well as the noise? So do the helical pilings not operate in that way?
I'm sure we have an engineer here or anyone who can answer that.
Yes.
Okay, so do you want to come forward? Please state your name and your purpose.
Evan Yan, EDI International Architects for the project, and the helical piles are drilled in more like a big screw drill in there rather than something that's being hammered in and making a lot of noise, so they are drilled.
Next, I noticed this is not going to be a LEED building, but it will be somewhat environmentally cautious. So is there any possibility of getting solar on the roofs of these places? Because they are right against the river. There are no trees impeding any of the sunlight that comes over there. Would be a great opportunity for some of that. Okay. I was just reading through. I'm sorry for the pause here. Okay. And also, I did notice the amount of parking, 155 spaces. My issue is the apartments are going to be charging parking fees for the residents, which means if I were a resident paying a high rent, whatever that rent may be, I'd be looking for the town's local parking lots to suit my needs, rather than worrying about paying an additional fee. So, I mean, I have a question about that. There are a lot of people that might be potentially moving in and possibly 155 cars. Hopefully, most people will use the parking facility, but that's not a guarantee. And then our parking becomes shorter and shorter. I have a hard time just getting parking in the evening to go to Turquoise Grill or any of the places on Main Street in the evening. So, just to address that. Thank you.
Anyone else want to come up? Want to come forward?
Hi,
Good
my name is
afternoon.
Ryan Heffling. I've been a resident of Riverhead for the last 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
I've worked in Riverhead for,
Ryan, excuse me, just bring the mic up a little bit so that,
I've worked here in Riverhead down the street at East End for a very long time now. And I'm a single mom of 3. And I'm very interested in this project. I'm struggling with housing right now. Sorry, I didn't expect I was going to cry. You know, and I'm very interested in hoping that this gets passed because with second homeowners and COVID, it's been very, very difficult for me to find a place for me and my children. Thank you.
And that's understandable, and these apartments are, and hopefully they're gonna be filled with seniors who are downsizing and individuals like young professionals. And I know I've said this story before, when I built my house here in Riverhead, I built an area for my son off, don't bother me, you have your own bathroom. And he was halfway through college in Albany, in computer school. He graduated, couldn't find a job, and he never came home. And we don't have that, we need the young professionals, and we need to have, moderately, and we need density downtown in order to help clear up the crime problem. And these are, this is an effort, and somebody said it earlier, with the support of the town board. We understand all these intricacies about building and the different types of housing, and, how to bring and how to gentrify it, and this town board is committed to doing that. So, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Hey, good evening.
Good evening, sir.
You guys stole my thunder. I was gonna say something along the same lines. I want to lend my support to this project as a long-term Riverhead resident and a recent... Oh, my name is John Keane.
Thank you.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I'm a father of 2 recent college graduates, and I'd like to see them stay. With the cost of housing these days, people are getting chased off Long Island, and it's great that kids and young professionals have the opportunity to stay. I love Riverhead, my kids love Riverhead, and I think this would be very good for the town. I think it would be good for business. Young professionals like to shop. So I think all around it would be a good project. I think it looks good.
Can we see it? Somebody want to turn that around?
Oh.
I would love to see the project. How
Oh.
about Maurice or somebody? It'd be interesting to see what the building looks like.
Looks great.
Okay. I know there was various renditions at one time, so, okay. Okay,
So,
thank you, sir.
thank you, and thank you for your time.
Good evening, ma'am.
My name is Ida Palmieri. I'm a business owner on Mill Road, Nine Brothers Building Supply. And I
Okay.
fully support this project. I think it will revitalize Main Street. It's beautiful.
yeah,
Oh, I'm sorry.
You need
My
to
name is
fo-
Ida Palmieri, and I'm a business owner
Bring the
on
mic
Mill
down.
Road in Riverhead. And we own Nine Brothers Building Supply. And I fully approve of this. I think it's absolutely a beautiful project, and I think it will revitalize Main Street. And it'll be a win-win, just like that woman said, that for housing and apartments, beautiful apartments. And I know that there were some concerns about the parking, but I feel that they addressed that there will be sufficient parking spaces. And also, I think that there's going to be some retail shops below. I think that that'll be an opportunity for people to own a business and hire people, and I don't see anything negative about it. I think it's absolutely beautiful, and I fully support it. And I also have some letters from employees that live in Riverhead, so if I could hand them.
You can give them to the clerk,
They
ma'am.
couldn't be
We'll
here
document
tonight,
them.
but they fully support it as well.
Thank you for taking the time out tonight. Anyone else
Thank
want to
you.
come forward? Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Hi, everyone. Hi, Honorable. My name is Jorge Gomez. I live in Riverhead since almost 6 years ago, and I understand here when the lady, when she said that she has struggled to find a place to live, finally I found a place to live, and I own the house, thank God. I strongly believe that's a good idea because, you know, this is a beautiful building. That could be a good idea for the people who's looking for to rent a house. Also, it's good for the business around because, you know, many business around the East Main Street that can be, you know, take advantage of this building, you know, many people. And also, it is good for the town too because it's gonna grab more taxes that could help the town to be more beautiful. And I support this idea too. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
That's-
Anyone else? Nate, Hamlet?
Good evening.
Good evening.
This is my letter. So
Okay, we'll accept it, the town clerk will take
thank
it.
you so much.
Okay. Hello?
Good evening, Garrett Moore, East Main Street.
Okay.
Just a couple of comments. This looks like a very impressive project. Looks like they're definitely invested in the community. I just had a couple of questions and concerns, being a resident of downtown. One thing that I have been frustrated, and I know I've spoken about here before, is police response time and how they are overtaxed, and why we keep bringing more and more projects into the community, how our police department hasn't grown. I'm also concerned with all of these projects, the amount of litter and refuse that seems to end up on the street. I know I've done town cleanups, as many other people in the community have. Heatherwood talks about wanting to be a good partner and investor into the community. I'd like to see if they would consider, or if a discussion could be had, that they would take on covering maybe a police salary, bringing an additional officer on board, or sponsoring some kind of town cleanup, because I know I've cleaned up the riverfront, and sometimes it's quite a disaster. I'd also like to know if they have any commitment to businesses on their first floor level, because sometimes there are a number of businesses that are supposedly opening and they stay shuttered for years. So I'd like to have some kind of commitment to businesses to see, before we see if we go forward with this project. Thank you.
Okay, I just want to add two things. Concerning your police, I'm sorry, I have to differ. This town board hired 7 extra police officers, and starting in January, and some of them are going to be deployed, and we're working on possibly having some type of police presence there, more like some type of building, and so we are working on it, and we did expand the police department the most ever, the most that anyone ever knows. 7 officers out of 86 is a very, very high percentage. And we also created just 2 months ago an overlay to address some of the possible quality of life situations that could face, and this town board adopted that. So we are working, and I thank you for your comments.
No, absolutely. I can appreciate that. I'm just not sure. I don't have the numbers off the top of my head with retirements that are going out to take away that 7. And I know I have my own data from when I've called and, you know, dealt with a 6-minute response time to my location on East Main Street. So things, you know, a work in progress, and I can appreciate the work on that. So I do thank you for that.
Sure, thank you. Have a good evening. Next. Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, Supervisor and Town Board. My name is Lois Fricky, and I've brought 4 letters of support for residents here that could not attend, so I'll hand them in. One is a business owner here for over 10 years, and the other are residents for over 10 years also. Thank you very much, and I support the project along with that.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Anyone else want to come forward?
Hello, nice beard, Tim. I'm Cindy Clifford of the Heart at Riverhead Civic Association, and I was really happy to see the reworking of this building, because the first one was, you know, nothing that was going to fit into Main Street. But this one, following the pattern book, now has a look that's going to fit in with our historic setting. I was also really happy to see this building is not going to be relying on our municipal parking lots with almost as many parking spots as apartments being built. Of course, now I hear that they're going to be charging for the parking spots, so that's maybe something that needs to be addressed. That all said, so many of the new projects that have come to Riverhead have offered great benefits for the developers and the property owners, but the residents of this town often are the ones that pay the price without any benefit. While attractive, this is a pretty massive apartment complex, and it's going to put Main Street in shadow. It's going to block more of our river view. It's going to increase traffic and make getting around downtown even more trying than it can be now. I would argue that 165 apartments with 155 parking spaces would make it hard to say with a straight face that no significant traffic-related impacts are anticipated, as stated in the DEIS. I take issue with the assumption this project should be exempt from parks and recreation fees. I don't know if you had a chance to see that in the DEIS, but they noted Town Code 301, Part 4, that there is a provision of a fee in lieu of providing public recreational space. Their argument made that none of the other apartment projects had to do so, but can't it be said that Summerwind and Peconic Crossing and the others were granted that exception because they were trailblazers? Shouldn't we be done with that now, and this project, positioning itself as being good for downtown, be willing to contribute? Makes sense. They said that they will be asking for IDA benefits, which will again leave us bearing the brunt of paying taxes to support the services that the 165 units will no doubt be accessing, while a for-profit business gets an enormous financial assist instead of our residents or even our small local businesses. We would request that local contractors and construction workers be hired rather than out-of-towners. Maybe they can go to Nine Brothers and get some supplies. We'd also request this project participate in our apprenticeship program and give some of our local residents the opportunity to get a foothold in a good career that will provide a solid future and the means to stay in Riverhead and raise their families, as many people have already requested. We'd like to see every project that comes into town be a win-win for the developers and for the people who call Riverhead home. By looking at how to make sure everyone benefits, this project could make a great beginning. Thank you.
Good afternoon.
Hi, Laura Jen Smith. I'd like to reiterate what Cindy was saying about the Park and Recs fees. They are in place. I think as we have more people come downtown, it's even more important that we support our parks and recreation. And it is true. Riverhead Lofts, the Conifer Building, and all these buildings took a big chance coming into this town and providing workforce houses. So I think at some point, it's really imperative for the board to say that, you know, we value the developers that are coming in, and I'm sure they want to see that their residents have amenities in place. And in order to do that, we need them to contribute to the Park and Recs fee. So that's just one thing I'd like to point out. I know there was some that this has been around since 2017 and it hasn't come through. I think many of you have seen this is reiteration after reiteration. I know a lot of the times it was stalled because there was a lack of investment in the building. I'm very happy to see that this group has come together to make an investment in our downtown. I think the buildings are, you know, 90% of the way there with the pattern book. I know you're looking at the draft environmental impact statement. I would like to see if you guys can see where it wasn't compliant with the pattern book. I think part of it is the back portion that faces our river, that so many of our studies have said that we're trying to revitalize and engage that area. So I would like to see some part of the plan here that engages the back of that building with the pattern book. You do have parking there. I understand there's not parking for all of the apartments and all of the people that will be there and a charge associated with it. I think that's very common with apartment buildings everywhere. But it does create an issue if somebody doesn't want to pay for parking. So one of two things. My first question would be, will they sell if it's not all used by the resident? Is it going to be used as paid parking for people that want to visit downtown? Or is that something that's not going to be available, so it encourages the people that live there to park and so that it's priced accordingly? The other thing is we do have Riverhead Lofts, and I don't know for sure, but I have heard that there's been issues there with flooding. And I'm just wondering, has that been evaluated with the parking space for this building? I know it's very easy to take the grade and the 100-year floodplain, but we have an example right next door. And I think we should take a look at that and have them take a look to see how that can be mitigated if, in fact, it will impact this building as well. The other thing with parking is that in part of the DEIS, it was talking about, you know, it is more crowded by these buildings, and that is where our retail in downtown area is. So can there be some mitigation put in place so that there is transportation further away from the central area for the residents of these buildings, so we can encourage parking to be further away? I know there's always the question when you're looking for the timing of the parking, as we get more busy downtown, that people that are gonna be there and stay overnight, you want them further away from the commercial spaces. But in order to do that, we need to encourage them to either walk or have a safe transport and feel safe walking back and forth. So I think that that's probably something that needs to be looked at as well. Just a few more items. I know on the other side of the Riverhead Lofts, a lot of times when you're on McDermott Street there, that you lose internet. So they have looked at the utilities here for water, for sewer, but if people work remote, and we're gonna have young professionals, and we want people to come down here and make this their home, they need internet access. So I think that that should be part of the evaluation, whether there will be enough internet access for this building as well. I saw that they had, there was about fire access for the building, and towards the eastern side of the building, that there was an issue with the fire access to this with the equipment that we have, so that is of concern. I hope that you take a good hard look at that. And one of the other things that we forget many times is people, right? So we have a fire department, that's a volunteer fire department. Do we actually have enough people on the fire department that have the ability to fight something or to address the issues of fire in this town? So I think that that is something, you know, human capacity needs to be considered as well with this. I know in a subdivision, there's a certain amount of affordable housing that the town requires with a subdivision, or a small subdivision can, I believe, buy out of that. My question is, in this market rate building, will there be any market rate housing to meet that requirement? I don't know if they have to do that with the apartment buildings, but if in fact they do that, should that lower income or subsidized housing be afforded to our volunteers that protect our community, so that they can stay here, especially younger people, so that we maybe can recruit younger people into our fire department and our ambulance corps. I think that's just about all I have. So thank you, and appreciate the time.
All right, let it be known, Laura Jen Smith, former supervisor of Riverhead. Moving forward, anyone else want to come forward? Ms. Case.
Georgette Case, I live here in Riverhead. I read in the paper today that the new apartment buildings are expecting approximately 11 children. Can anyone tell me how many children there are in the apartment house on McDermott Avenue and Main Street?
I think Greg could tell you.
Greg might have those numbers.
Something we've looked at.
It's very low.
It's like, all right, that FOIL paid off. Yeah, so I did fill out a FOIL request for the Riverhead Central School District for the larger apartment buildings downtown. The building Ms. Case is referencing, located at 221 East Main Street, there are 118 apartments in that building. There are a total of 6 students that come out of there. Just also for the board's knowledge, on 331 East Main Street, which is the building right next to the aquarium, there are 36 apartments. There are 3 students that come out of that building. Peconic Avenue, which is the Summerwind project, there are 52 apartments, and there are 3 students that come out of there. The one outlier is the Peconic Crossing building at 11 West Main Street. There are 45 apartment units there, and there are 18 students. So that one is by far the outlier. But based on those 251 apartment units, there was a total of 30 students, which breaks out to approximately...
Correct me if I'm wrong, Greg. A lot of times when you have these children they're already in the school.
I can't speak to that. I won't.
There is a certain percentage. They don't come from the outside and relocate to Riverhead. They're not all fresh. Some of them are from the community. So we don't have the exact figure, but it's not...
I can't speak to that. I won't put that. But, so like I said, out of those 251 apartment units that I foiled in the downtown, there were 30 students, which equated to 0.11 students per unit, which was basically in line with a 2019 SUNY Stony Brook Real Estate Institute market study.
So that report came out in 2019, right? It looked at
Correct.
all the entire county?
It was Nassau and Suffolk.
Okay, yeah, and it's something that we can all refer to because it is online.
I
Okay,
just asked because school taxes are going up and up and up.
We agree?
And as everyone knows, it's getting harder to pay our taxes these days. So that's one of my big concerns. The other concern is parking, yes, and I believe I spoke to the town board about that once before. And along the river, it's nice to go down there and park and be able to find a parking space and have lunch, or just sit in the afternoon and read a book. So, thank you.
Yeah, we also did a parking study. Dawn, can you talk about the parking study real quick? It indicated, do you have the figures on the parking study that we did? Where it indicated at any time, I think it was at any given time, 57% of our parking was used?
Yeah, that parking study was initiated in, I think, 2017 or 18, but updated later on. And
Okay.
the recommendations, and I think someone mentioned it earlier, is you want people to walk, and so that's something, and there are other reasons they walk or don't walk, but for sure, you want to, keep people out of the spaces that you want to turn over the most, and you want them to park the furthest away if they're staying longer. So we've adopted, this board's adopted those regulations. They're going to be implemented shortly. The signage on Main Street will change, and those things will happen. So, little by little. But as you said, that study in, I think it was 2018, said that the maximum of all of our parking, all available parking inventory in downtown was never more than 58% occupied. So, but we have other plans, as you know,
Yes.
to continue to manage parking as we move forward with redevelopment in downtown.
Great, thank you. Anyone else want to come forward?
There's one online.
Just do it, okay. Bring them up, over. Okay, we have
Angela
the
DeVito, South Jamesport.
supervisor candidate.
I'm sorry, I'm identifying myself. I'm a resident here. I live in the town
Yes, but you're also running
hamlet
for
of South
supervisor.
Jamesport, and I define who I am, not you.
Okay, so you want to move forward? Okay,
Going forward with, and
name, can you?
I said Angela DeVito, South Jamesport.
Okay, thank you.
In the EAF Part 1, page 4, paragraph 3, actually the last sentence, the applicant states that they may be seeking financial assistance from the New York State Housing Finance Agency. This is an agency, a public benefit corporation that was created in 1960 to finance low and moderate income rental housing. My question is, are there plans at this point, and how firm are they, to seek housing from financing from the Housing Finance Agency, and how would they how does that change their plans from this being a market value rental building to now having to rent and be for low and moderate income individuals? That's my first question. My second question is, there is also an indication that the applicant will be going to the IDA to seek and see if they are qualified, and they qualify for any of the benefits from the IDA. At that time, if they were to receive benefits from the IDA, is the town board looking to invoke our apprenticeship language that we have that would require them to have organizations who build it have apprenticeship programs, because it would in part be funded by public monies, by indirectly being given these benefits? Has that been something that has been considered? And the last thing is the rate of the apartments. Has that been set market value? What is market value for a studio in Riverhead, downtown Riverhead? What's a market value for a one-bedroom, and what's a market value for a two-bedroom currently in downtown Riverhead, so that we as residents have an idea of how much the rentals are going to be there? Is there any information on that that can be made available to the public?
The developer, that's a private entity. and the developer sets the price.
They set market value.
Well,
That's what they do?
Well, there is a certain realm, but they set it, so,
And when will the public be able to know that, when the project
you
is
can
done?
ask, they're here today,
Well, that's,
so-
I've raised 3 questions that I
Okay.
believe that they should answer.
Do you
Thank you.
guys want to answer that? Does anyone, Mr. Wagner, you want to come up? In the meantime, let's get somebody else to come. Oh, we have somebody online, right?
We do?
Okay.
He's coming up. He's coming up.
Wait, hold on. Who's coming up? Mr. Wagner? Great.
At this point, we're still in the approval process. At this point, we're still in the approval process and design phase, so we have ongoing studies with regard to what the market rent will bear, once we're all done. It's still under study, so I can't give you specific numbers tonight, but eventually we will complete those studies.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, hi.
Yes, my name is Thomas McSwain. I live in Riverhead. Since we brought up market value, I just found this article in Dan's papers, the current issue, Real Estate, and they're highlighting the project Shipyard and also the one by the library that they're building.
Okay.
And they state here that the prices in Shipyard are $2,500 starting up to $5,800 a month if it's furnished. So I'm just curious how people afford that type of money. A single mom with children, seems like a lot of money. You should be able to, well, I don't know. I just thought it'd help the developers with a potential price.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay. We have somebody online?
We do.
You want to get Mr. Harari?
You're on, Ron?
Thank you. Just to clarify, the supervisor asked Mr. Bergman about the number of apartments that currently have certificates of occupancy. And if I recall, Mr. Bergman indicated that they were somewhere in the 400s. So just to clarify, should certificates of occupancy be issued for this 165-unit building, those certificate of occupancies would exceed the cap currently in place. Is that true, Mr. Bergman?
Greg, I think he asked you a question. Mr. Harari, do you want to repeat your question to Mr. Bergman? He's now up
Yes.
before the mic.
No,
please.
I heard the question. He
Oh,
doesn't
I'm
need
sorry.
to repeat it. So,
Okay.
no. So if this building were to be constructed tomorrow and ready for the issuance of a CO, we could issue the COs for the 165 residential units, and it would not pierce the cap.
Okay.
All right, just to clarify, if you have how many units that have certificates of occupancy today?
I don't have the numbers in front of me, so I'm not going to misrepresent or misquote something. So I do not have the answers. I can provide them to the
You
board. if
just,
they would.
sir, you just answered a question. Now you're saying you don't know the answer. I'm a little bit perplexed here, sir. But while you're speculating, can you tell us how many other apartments are scheduled to be built downtown in terms of the applications pending before your office? Or do you don't have the answer to that either, sir?
Thank you, Mr. Hariri.
Comment.
Oh, so are you taking the fifth?
Mr. Harari?
You can draw the inference, and I would ask the town to draw the inference. This is a town board that has been reckless in its management of the development of this town, and you are an absolute disgrace. The message that you are sending is that this is a town that is for sale to any developer that wants to lay down its money and cram as many apartments anywhere they can find. Thank you.
He's always very entertaining at meetings. It's not a meeting without him. Okay, so, moving forward. Anyone else want to come forward?
My name is Mark Hubner. I'm here as a citizen of Accobock tonight. Good evening, everybody.
Okay.
First of all, I want to, if everybody didn't know it, congratulations on our 2023 Long Island Smart Growth Award presented to us this week.
Oh, we forgot to mention it.
For creating great places in our downtown revitalization initiative. We're standing shoulder to shoulder with other towns offering model affordable housing projects in the town of Hempstead, Glen Cove, Southampton, the recovery of Central Isolate's abandoned hospital for housing, walkability of West Hampton Beach and Mineola, and Oyster Bay's transit-oriented development and Suffolk County's transit improvements, all of the elements of which we are considering in our new comprehensive plan. What I noticed at St. Joseph's University was the only project which had included the New York State Energy Efficiency Code to include solar shading, light controls, low-flow plumbing, and an integrated approach to wastewater. Not one of the others mentioned or highlighted net zero energy use, 100% stormwater diversion, or the replacement of fossil carbon energies. I also noticed that the DEIS for this property made cursory remarks to dark sky lighting and Energy Star lighting. They meant Energy Star lighting. The statement, the amount of runoff from the building will not be more than the current empty lot, is a dismissive statement. It does not show any effort at considering that the runoff is something to be addressed or that it will indeed be more than an empty lot with the drastic increase of hardened surfaces of roofs, sidewalks, and garage. The statement that the taxes from any development on the site will be a large improvement over the taxes from the current empty lot is also a superficial statement of the benefit to the town, and I find it condescending. Two references to town taxes offsetting the costs of the school district for the 12 students expect to live here are inconsistent with another statement in the DIS that these costs would be fully covered. Taking $240,000 out of the $640,000 tax revenue for this building is substantial, and the real tax revenue becomes $400,000. Divided by 165 units, this is $200 a month. This makes me wonder if our fire, police, ambulance, water, and sewer infrastructure costs are covered at all. The DEIS acknowledges that the pattern book has been adopted by resolution but not codified, which therefore indemnifies the developer from creating a project consistent with the vision of the citizens and professionals who put this very expensive plan into being. The main theme for the attraction to Riverhead from all of the input from the citizens to this town is the Peconic River. If you were to drive in either direction on Main Street, this 5-story building, mountain, blocks yet another 100 feet of vista of this vital resource and dwarfs the East End Arts Council into insignificance and increases the feeling of being in a canyon rather than an attractive historic town. By stating that no other high-rise in Riverhead is paying an entertainment fee as the basis for escaping this responsibility of paying for shared resources adds an additional burden on the rest of the taxpayers of the town. The DEI states that they do not expect a significant amount of the residents to take part in events within the town, while out of the other side of their mouths, they're saying that they're creating a contributing population to a walkable town. That those same people who will not go downstairs to a street fair are going to walk downstairs and support all of the restaurants and businesses of the town instead. Which is it? Neither or both. The DEIS also states that there will be 10 full-time jobs after completion. DIS states that the building is constructed to control stormwater runoff from a 3-inch rain event. I'm shaking my head to think we are not preparing ourselves for a 6-inch rain event after Houston's 30 inches in 30 hours, or any other number of storms we've seen in the last 5 years. Every inch of rain that we do not mitigate goes straight across the oil-stained asphalt parking lots and right into this Peconic River. We expect the absolute best from our children, yet expect only the minimum from our developers. That is not their fault. They're playing by the rules that we created. They are not gaming the system, but they are also not community benefit organizations and will maximize their profit as their mission drives them into a single bottom line system. It is our responsibility not to design better rules, but to design rules better. zoning and codes which are designed to create self-organizing capabilities so that the participants in this system are rewarded in their drive to better outcomes. We have been acknowledged for our smart growth efforts, but we have not yet become a resilient, strong town, an adaptive, smart city, and we are certainly able to elicit creativity in the direction of achieving a triple bottom line of the best for all, a common beneficial goal of positive social, environmental, and economic outcomes, but only if we decide to put our heads together to make that happen. We can do a lot better for our town than this. Thank you.
I just want to address a couple of Mark's comments, just relating to the entire overall development of downtown. The town board in particular has taken a very aggressive and strong stance in creating public space in our downtown that will be not only available to new residents, but to the residents that are here now. So while this building will replace the buildings that were there, that were removed from that site years ago, this is part of an overall plan, which is a much greater plan, strategically done with community input, very strong public engagement on multiple levels, stakeholder engagement. And so to suggest that it's done without the community is really inaccurate, and it isolates this project from the overall downtown revitalization plans that you've engaged in and actually executed on. So, thank you.
Good afternoon.
Good evening. Mike Foley, Reeves
evening,
Park. I want to start off by saying that's a pretty good-looking building. And I believe, and I'm going to be in conflict with some of my friends that I'm normally in simpatico with. But in this, I will say, I am thankful that the pattern book has been utilized in the formation of this building. At the same time I'm saying that, I know that Mark has forgotten more about environmental issues than I'll ever know. So when I hear Mark rattle off a litany of issues that could make this a better environmental building, I hope that John and Sean, who were here today, and by the way, thanks guys, you guys also were here to listen and hopefully answer questions. And I thank you for coming and for your short presentation. It really achieves what you want to achieve, which is to hear some of the feedback from your neighbors. I want to remind the board, especially the board that attended the working session, when we had a developer's representative come here and literally try and rip up the pattern book. Yvette, you were shocked when you took a look at all those crossouts, as was everybody else. And I think that kind of sets the tone for the future. That the pattern book is something that this town worked on, spent money on, got feedback from the residents on, and it really should be a plan that we go as far as possible to implement. At the same time, encouraging developers like this to take a look at the environmental improvements possible that you guys have not considered yet, to possibly take one extra step over what you've already done. But I also want to talk about the fact that this is a market rate rental. There isn't one workforce housing rental on this site, as I understand. All of these are for-profit market rate rentals. Doesn't make you a bad person. The market demands what the market demands, and you guys are entitled to get the maximum possible return on your investment. What I do take umbrage with is when you ask the residents of the town to subsidize your profit margins. When we talk about IDA benefits, let's just understand what we're talking about here is having the taxpayer subsidize for up to a decade the price that could have been built into the market rate so that you guys could do this for-profit building without any IDA tax benefits. That this is something, you've been here for 6 years. Clearly you guys see something in this town that is attractive to you. I see it too. I've been here for 70 years. So I see the changes that have happened in this town. An overwhelming majority of them have been good. And now we're faced with a master plan where we have developers that are trying to put things where they don't belong. We have planning boards, which will come up in the resolution shortly, and zoning board of appeals appointees that can take a look at that and push it a little bit unless they're restricted by the language in the master plan. So I guess my two major issues with this, besides all the things that Mark mentioned, and I'm sure every one of them has merit, but all of them are over my head. If you're going to have 165 market rate apartments, you shouldn't be asking for subsidies. If you're going to supply water and the additional infrastructure to put those 165 people on Main Street, you should pay for all of it. The town of Riverhead should not subsidize the infrastructure 1 penny. And I happen to see, I happen to see Frank the water guy here. And you know, I was just curious because he knows more about this stuff than anybody in this room. And I don't know what, if any, pushback he's getting from the town board or from anybody else on trying to get the town of Riverhead Water Department kick in any money to fund the infrastructure that is required by the development of this building. So I'll just ask this. Frank, you know, if Yvette will allow you to come up and answer the question, I'd love to hear it. If it's something that's still up in the air and nobody knows the answer to yet, I'm willing to wait for somebody to have an answer. But I'd like to make sure that the infrastructure required to fund this building is being borne 100% by the developer and not 1 penny from the taxpayers of Riverhead. Frank, are you here? Can you answer that question?
Hold on, okay, thank you, Mr. Hold on, thank you, Mr. Foley. I just want to add, Frank, hold on, you can come up, but I just want to add before you start. Mr. Foley, I totally agree that infrastructure should be funded by development. However, we should never have our full infrastructure, other area projects funded by development when they have nothing to do with it. So, you gather what I'm saying? You can't say, with this hookup is gonna cost $500,000, but we need $1 million, as I've heard, to do something on this end. So that should not be happening. Actually, that's illegal.
Yvette, I agree with you. I don't expect the developer to subsidize the residents of Riverhead on things that don't directly apply to their building.
Yeah, and I agree, but there has been some indicator that may have happened, and we just want to make it clear at a town board meeting that that's not the way that we should ever act. So I'm in total agreement with you. I'm just bringing the point out further, because it has been brought up to me on 2 different occasions that that should never happen.
Thanks, Yvette. We have not agreed often over the last year. I'm glad this is one of those days.
Well, maybe that's because I'm not running this year, so you change your heart.
Well, and I was going to actually say, seeing that you as the chairperson have introduced people as members of the Democratic Party and potential candidates for the town supervisor, it is accurate that you're assumed to be former supervisor.
Yes.
So,
Okay. Thank you. Have a good evening. And Frank, do you want to come forward?
Sure. I'm Frank from the Water District.
Also known as the Waterman.
Yeah, the water guy.
AKA?
We've been in contact with the development even before my time, and I must say they've been polite and professional throughout the whole thing. They are being asked to make an investment in the infrastructure that's of a similar scale to all the other projects downtown, and those infrastructure improvements directly benefit their project. We may have different opinions on how to do that, but we have to think about the entire system and how it works together. So maybe one of their recommendations doesn't fit well with our overall plan for downtown. But I think it's fair. I think they've been pretty fair to deal with. And it's an investment that's of the same scale and magnitude of all the other projects downtown. So it wouldn't be fair to treat them any differently. Any other questions?
I'm a little confused. So you're saying if somebody, this development, let's say, for argument's sake, if they need, they have to provide $500,000 for you to build their infrastructure, are you saying that they have to pay additional funds for somewhere else?
No.
It's just for that?
The projects like that are subject to 2 fees from the Water District. A key money fee that's been in place for decades. That's to maintain the infrastructure that we build to support these types of projects, because
okay.
we own this for infinity. They may own this for infinity, they may sell it the day they build it. The improvements that are specific to their building are going to go from Heidi Bear Way up alongside the building, through Main Street and up into East Street, to take load off of the main under the State Road and Main Street, because it's unreliable. So just like Georgica Green, they're going to be fed almost identically and make an improvement that's almost identical. I would give Georgica Green credit for doing an even bigger improvement, because they established the main on Heidi Bear Way. It's not sized big enough to be the only main to support all these large buildings, but, you know, I think what we've asked for is fair. I think they did a good job of meeting with me and talking it over, and I anticipate moving forward with the improvements we've asked for. But they benefit their project and are not doing anything else for anybody else's project.
Okay, great, perfect, okay.
John, I would like to address your comment on the IDA, and there was somebody else who made a comment. As a former board member of the IDA, I really think it's important that the taxpayers get the facts straight, or people coming up and representing the taxpayers, I should say, get the facts straight. And I'm going to give you an example. Riverview Lofts, that property, prior to Georgica Green getting involved, was paying $32,000 a year, blank property, okay? Currently, they're paying over $100,000 a year. So, yeah, they got some benefits, they got some sales tax benefits. Had that property still been vacant, it would be getting $32,000 a year after year, if there was nothing there. Since they're there, it escalates every single year. So if they're not, the taxpayers are not subsidizing their building. And you really, you know, I just want you to know that. You know, IDA benefits don't mean that they're going to pay more. They're going to pay at least what the land is worth now, and it's going to escalate year after year after year. And I know that because I've worked on several IDA projects when I was on that board, and that's how it works.
Okay. Chip, do we have anyone online? Anyone else want to come forward on this project?
Good evening, everybody.
Good
My name is
evening.
Barbara Blass, and I live in Jamesport. And I appreciate the opportunity to make these comments on the DEIS, because that's where my comments will be focused.
Okay.
But I do want to say congratulations to all of those who made such a cooperative effort to result in a building that is a tremendous improvement. I know CDA, Don Thomas, and the applicants worked very hard in a cooperative effort, and I want to congratulate them for putting in that time. The document, the DEIS, with its numerous references to the adjacent Riverview Lofts project, is a classic example of the danger of precedent-setting decisions in providing justification for or minimizing potential environmental impacts of subsequent development proposals. They got IDA benefits, so should we. Their density is even higher, you know, than ours, so ours should be approved. They have a sewer pipe underneath the building, so should we. Those are not the kinds of things you want to hear and see in an objective environmental impact statement. We talked about the IDA. I was actually going to skip this section, but I think I need to say what I believe to be accurate. The IDA is not listed as an involved agency in this EIS, and it should be if the applicant is seeking benefits. And yes, the current taxes on that vacant land are $24,379. After 10 years, it's going to be $650,000. With respect to school taxes in particular, the document states that it costs $19,730 per student. It will cost approximately $217,000 to educate those additional 11 students anticipated from this project. The FEIS should provide a breakdown of those taxes over each year, because as the example you just mentioned, Mr. Kern, that additional taxes would not support even the numbers of students that are coming from that particular project.
Provided they're not coming from out of town.
Wait, you have to.
I get it.
You know how you have to work the documents. You have done it many times in the past. In order for this to make a clear impact as to what the financial burden will be for the taxpayers, you should start at year 1. This is what we're getting. And by year 10, you'll be at full taxes. But in those intervening years, the taxpayers make up the difference. They do. They do. How could you say they don't? If you're only, what did you just say was?
I'm not gonna make assumptions about how many kids are gonna be living in the building, number one.
Well, that
Number
you have
two,
to.
and the statistics that were foiled earlier by Greg Bergman, which are correct, we have since found out as of last night, 6 of those people were already in the school system, living here, and they just moved to the apartments. So it wasn't adding any more students to the school.
You have to come up with a paradigm that allows people to
exactly
make
what you're
those kinds of comparisons. That's how you manage and assess socioeconomic impacts. You can't just say, well, maybe they will, maybe they
Well,
won't.
we
You
could
have to
just
pick
leave
something.
downtown vacant and have people complain about that for another 15 years. That'd be,
That's rather
that's something we
inappropriate.
could look at.
However, the outreach letter that was sent to the school district, that's in Appendix I, number 1, asked the school district for some different information as to number of bus stops, et cetera. But my point in bringing that up is that they said we will be sending this project will have 19 school-aged children, not 11. There are 2 different references in the research as to what documents they were using to come up with those numbers. And yes, Madam Supervisor, it could be a typo, as you frequently have mentioned, but I'd like to know if it's either 9, 19, or 11, there's a difference, and it should be corrected. And if those numbers are accurate, somebody should explain the discrepancy. The sewer district, we need to get clarity on the figures that the sewer district, the permitted capacity and the remaining flow available for this and future projects. I actually went back to the Riverview Lofts DEIS from 2017, and the permitted capacity in that document was listed as 1.5 million gallons per day. And at the time, the plant was treating 1 million gallons per day. This document says the permitted capacity is 1.2 million gallons per day, with a plant currently treating 900,000 gallons per day. I don't understand how it could go down, and with the additional flow allocations for all the projects built since 2017, and those now contemplating including the development of the town square and the TOD, it's really important to get those numbers straight. You're allocating flow, and you want to make sure that you have the appropriate allotment to give them. And I am asking, I don't know whether the permitting capacity can be increased. Maybe somebody could actually ask that question. Can we, if it is 1.2, can we go to 1.5? What would it take to increase the capacity? I don't know that, but the numbers themselves need to be corrected. The FEIS should discuss whether and to what extent the proposed project will impact the amount of sunlight the residents of the apartments on the westerly side of Riverview Lofts currently receive. They're in the sun now. With this building there, many of them will not have sun. That's an impact. And I'm not even sure that they're aware of it. The DEIS states that the applicant is not planning on applying or receiving any LEED certifications for this project, but that the project will meet all local and state energy codes. Is it meeting the code a given? I would think that that would be something that they would be doing anyway, and everybody else. The FEIS should include a calculation of the building carbon footprint and offer techniques to mitigate greenhouse gas emissions and improve energy efficiency. This would be consistent with the Pattern Book's recommendation of encouraging new buildings to meet net zero challenge by 2030. There is some contaminated soils on the site, and I just have a question. I'm not an engineer, but the environmental investigations reveal the presence of contamination with methyl ethyl ketone. The point is, in order to vent the vapors, which are hazardous vapors, they're installing a barrier that's going to, they install barriers down on below and pipe the vapors through the building to exit out the roof. and some are being vented into the parking garage. Since a spark can cause the vapors with the right oxygen mixture to ignite, is it advisable to vent into the garage area? The FEIS should discuss why this method of venting through the building is preferable to just removing the soils completely and taking them off the premises. I'm sure there's a reason that you choose one over the other, but I believe that that alternative should be discussed. Fire suppression. It is expected that fire apparatus can access the building on all sides up to the rooftop, but, quote, because the building is so closely abuts the neighboring Riverview Lofts structure, it is expected that emergency access to the eastern side of the building will not be possible. That also means that access to the westerly side of Riverview Lofts will not be possible either. So you've got the two interior sections into the courtyard, which will also not be accessible. I believe the FEIS should provide some very clear information as to how fires in these apartments at these locations, as well as in the courtyard, will be treated. And the information should be incorporated into the FEIS. I actually have a lot more information, but I'll leave it at that. I very much appreciate your time and attention.
Hey, anyone else want to come forward? Chip, anybody waiting? Good evening.
Good evening. How are y'all? My name's Ashley, good evening.
Where you from, ma'am?
Ashley Pope. I'm a partner with Gercio and Gercio. We represent the Riverhead Central School District.
Okay.
The last time I was here.
You're the attorney, right?
Yes.
Okay, you're the attorney for the Riverhead School District, got it.
Correct, yes.
Okay.
The last time I was here was September.
Ashley, can you just come closer to the mic because this is,
As long as I
going
don't
on
spit
online.
on it for other people.
Yeah, people need to hear you.
Got it. So the last time I was here was September of '22, and I regret that I'm here again on a different apartment building and to criticize again the assessment of the impact on the school district for a different apartment building. It'd be remiss if I didn't mention that the district does encourage and embrace the development of properties within district limits, but again, the district is concerned as to the impact of this development on the school district. In particular, the draft environmental impact statement appears to underestimate the number of new students which would come from this development, while extremely minimizing the financial impact for the school district. This is just one development proposed within downtown Riverhead, 165 apartments. Let's just say, for argument's sake, the kids are only going to be in the 33 two-bedroom units, which is not a given. This is also, just like the last time, this is in the Roanoke Elementary School attendance zone. It's already at capacity. It's been at capacity. We haven't added a school since September of '22. As much as we would welcome a brand new school building, it just hasn't materialized. There's also other developments proposed or in the works, 270 apartments by the train station, 133 apartments proposed in April on West Main at Sweezy, 37 apartments at 20 Osborne Avenue. I'm sure there's others, but for sake of time, I'll be brief. It's not easy, fast, or cheap to add capacity to schools. The per pupil cost of the $19,000 and change, that doesn't take into account, that's just to educate the students in the space you already have. That is not to add the capacity to actually put those students in a building and have the space for them. Again, this district is at capacity. The study that was used from Stony Brook takes into account districts in Nassau. Those are commuter districts. It's apples to oranges. First, you have to look at just Suffolk County. Riverhead is not Mineola. Riverhead is not Farmingdale. People are frankly not commuting every day from this train station to the city. It's a whole different ballgame. People move here for a different reason. To actually educate these students, the district needs real funding. The solution is not to ask Southampton to build schools. I know that was proposed last time, but these kids aren't going to be in Southampton. They're going to be in downtown Riverhead, and in particular in Roanoke, which cannot accommodate the additional number of students. You can't look at this building in a vacuum, you have to look at the other ones. The ones I mentioned, the ones other people have mentioned tonight. I heard some reference to numbers. There were a couple buildings left out of what I heard before. So, right, if you look at 6 buildings in downtown Riverhead, which is about 402 units, there's 129 students attending there. 128 East Main was left out, 19 apartments, give or take, 4 students. 821 East Main, River Point, 135 units, 95 students. It's very convenient when you leave out those numbers. 129 students in 402 units is 0.32. That's a lot higher than what was estimated. The 11 to 12 is just too small. I think if you actually look at Suffolk County data and further factor into account that this district is growing and continues to grow, unlike much of Long Island, that is just not an accurate number. I have to also mention that in February, this developer, which was conveniently after the date of the draft of the environmental impact statement, this developer proposed a 25-year pilot agreement to the Riverhead Industrial Development Agency. The environmental impact statements indicates that the cost of educating the students would be more than made up for by the property taxes on this developed parcel. However, from the presentation in February, the developer is proposing to pay $13,500 a year for the first 3 years of the pilot, which, while this is being developed, granted, no students, but still, $13,000 does not even educate one kid. And then with 25 years, the district wouldn't be looking at full taxes until the kids who move in the first day this apartment is built, they're already graduated from college and working, we hope, hopefully still living in Riverhead, but who knows. Just on the Riverview lofts in particular, since that one was mentioned, if they're currently paying $100,000 per year, let's say the district gets about 60% of that at $19,000 and change per student, they are currently not educated, they're not paying for the 6 students that they're sending to the district. Again, the district is extremely concerned that these projects, they cannot be looked at in a vacuum. They can't be underestimated because the district doesn't have a choice and of course wants to educate every student who lives here. They deserve the high quality education that this district offers, but the district cannot do that without adequate funding. And the only way to get adequate funding is to make sure that the impacts are actually assessed adequately and that the district has a seat at the table and has the ability to get the funding in advance. Front load the funding. Make sure it's adequate. Otherwise, this just doesn't work. We can't flip a switch and add a school building. Again, we urge the town to take a hard look at the draft environmental impact statement and really look at how they're assessing the student headcount aspect and the financial aspect for the district, and maybe require a little follow-up there. Thank you.
Okay, anyone else? Good evening.
Good evening, Talkey Church and Greater Calverton Civic Association President. I tried to download the DEIS and I learned it was 1,700 pages. That's quite a bit. I thank you for holding this public hearing in an evening meeting. It's really necessary, and thank you. Would you please consider keeping open this public hearing for another evening? For 2 reasons, really, to give you more time to digest that 1,700 pages, because I'm sure there's more that you want to see in it, and also for folks to come forward and let you know more of how they feel. Thank you.
We do keep the public hearing open for public comments. You can call us, email us. we're gonna do the usual, I'll make the announcement at the end, let me just make sure we have everybody. You have somebody online? Okay.
My request was for another evening meeting, like, you know how you
Okay,
keep it
well-
open for another meeting like you've done with other public hearings?
Okay, we'll
Yeah,
address that.
Thank you.
Who do we have? Oh, this will be entertaining.
First of all, I'd like to thank the supervisor for suggesting that she finds my presentation entertaining. Unfortunately, we can't find the same humor in the way this town board has recklessly mismanaged our town. And I actually want to say my hats are off to council, to the school district, who has, as distinguished from the town's planner, who actually has the numbers at her fingertips and pointed out the impact this massive mountain of a building would have on the town's infrastructure. Thank you, council, and I would urge the town to reject the presentation of its town planner, who can't even tell us how many apartment units are in town, because he feels he would be misrepresenting facts. And I ask that this presentation be rejected out of hand based upon the lack of evidence to support it. Thank you.
Okay, yes, ma'am?
Hi, I'm Ethel Sussman from South Jamesport. A quick question about the parking garage. Maybe I'm not imaginative enough, but I'm wondering how a parking garage that's partly below grade and partly on grade works in an environment where there's constant flooding. So that's just a quick question. But more broadly, I think it would be good, since there are so many important questions raised at this hearing, but no answers have been provided to many of these questions. I think the suggestion of having another public hearing where the developers and other parties could actually answer these questions and then have more public comments, I think that would be very useful, and I urge the board to schedule such a hearing. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay.
Folks from the development, do you want to answer some of these questions? You heard them all.
Definitely come up.
Okay, let me just say this. We have been listening to everything we've heard tonight. I've got so far 5 pages of notes here. The way it works under seeker is that the DEIS is up for public hearing, which it is tonight. People state their comments on the DEIS. They have an opportunity to do that in writing as well, I believe. And at the end of the day, we take the transcript from tonight, plus the written comments, and we address the questions and concerns that are raised therein in the FEIS. That's what the purpose of that document is. And we do not complete the secret process until there's an FEIS, and the town board has reviewed the applicant's responses to the comments that have been made, which are very often on a technical level, and then ultimately, for you to make a determination up or down with this project, you must issue a finding statement. That's how you complete the secret process when you have a draft environmental impact statement involved. So, like I said, we're taking copious notes, and our technical people will address the comments as appropriate in the FEIS. Thank you.
Okay. Last chance, anyone, please? Chip, all clear to go? Ready to move? Okay, we are now going to close this public hearing. The time now is 7:34, and I am going to leave it open for 10 days, as we normally do, for written comments until 4:30 p.m. on June 30th, 2023, and that's where it's going to stay. That's a normal process. Leave it open for 10 days. Anybody who has any further questions can reach us, can reach the planning, can text us, can email us, can come in person, and you can also file a letter with the town clerk. So there's still enough room for engagement, and again, this public hearing is going to be open for written comment until 4:30 p.m. on June 30, 2023, and we're going to move forward. Yes. Oh, here's another one. Different sound sense. Okay, so those of you who are the public hearing for the 213 East Main Street is over, so if you want to go enjoy a little bit of your evening, I'm not throwing you out, but I know how it is. Some of you have traveled here from far away. Okay, moving forward, the next public hearing was scheduled for 6:10. The time now is 7:35, and we're here for open public hearing for the continuation of a public hearing that was originally held on April 4th, 2023, for the consideration of a proposed special permit application for the Jamesport Diamond, open parentheses, Diamond Estate, close parentheses, for addition to existing restaurant. Planner Matt Charters is here once again to overview this topic with us, and good evening, Matt.
Good evening, everybody. I'll be very brief, just because this is an adjournment from a previous meeting. Just to summarize for anyone who's not familiar, this is a special permit application seeking approval to construct about a 6,000 square foot dining and catering room addition to an existing restaurant. Sure, can everybody, how's that? Is that better? Sorry. It's going to include a proposed covered patio and uncovered patio areas, a breezeway, 53 proposed new parking stalls, and 21 land bank parking stalls with other related site improvement. This is the Jamesport Manor Inn at 370 Main Road in Jamesport. I did distribute electronically 2 reports to the board. One is a sound study that was received yesterday, and the other was a traffic study which was received after close of business yesterday, which I sent this morning, which I believe you guys all have hard copies on in front of you now. I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Charles Cuddy, who is the applicant's attorney, who's going to offer a brief summary. Then I believe the authors of both the sound study and the traffic study will present their findings. Okay?
Good evening. Charles Cuddy for the applicant. This is a special permit application. I'm just going to review very quickly to permit construction of an accessory building on the site which is known as Jamesport Manor, which is located on 3.7 acres at Manor Lane in Jamesport. The Zoning Board of Appeals and the State Court has indicated that catering is a use that's a permitted accessory use. This is like saying that you're adding a garage to a house. It's something that you can add to the restaurant. The catering use that we're proposing is actually similar to the approved 6,000 square feet that was added to Great Rock site. It's not dissimilar to the use that's actually made at RGNY, which is a winery that has a number of events inside in the building, which is what we're proposing. And it's similar to the use of Giorgio's, which has a large-scale catering area right next to a number of residents. We're specifically here in an attempt to settle ongoing lawsuits which have been going on for more than 10 years. And while we reserve our rights in those lawsuits, we're hopeful that by presenting to you the information we have tonight, that this will help us to reach a successful conclusion. In order to proceed under SEQR, we prepared additional reports, as you requested, for both the traffic and for sound. And I have with me tonight the traffic engineer, who is Steve Schneider. I have the sound consultant, who is Sean Harkin. And also I have with me from Young & Young, Doug Adams, who can talk about costs and additional items. First, I'd ask Steve Schneider if he will come up and indicate the seasonal adjustments he's made through his traffic study.
Good afternoon, Steven Schneider, Schneider Engineering, 43 Seacliff Avenue, Miller Place, New York.
Steve, can you just get closer to the mic, raise it up a little, because,
As you get older, this is what happens, I
That's
guess.
the mic police here.
well, it's recorded so that, people can hear you online.
Not a problem.
He's doing a good job. Go ahead.
Okay, Steven Schneider, Schneider Engineering, 43 Seacliff Avenue, Miller Place, New York, 11764, principal. I prepared the original traffic study for March and April. I was asked at the last hearing to update it. Many of the individuals in the audience suggested that I did not use a high enough seasonal factor. I went back, looked at it again, and we updated the seasonal factor. It was interesting, to be very honest, because the seasonal factor was very close to what it was before. And when you put the seasonal factor in the beginning of the counts that we took, which was from March of the year, and the levels of service that you result in, which is the number of, or how easy it is to drive at an intersection, through an intersection. It's like grading an intersection like a paper, a test score, I guess, today. If it's an A, you're the only one on the road, it's wonderful. If it's an F, it's not too good. Everybody's on the road at the same time. And we had basically the same results, in which the levels of service went down only for a Saturday night from a B to a C by 3 seconds, which is really not a lot, but it did go down a little bit. During the week, on a Friday night, we also took counts, and it did not go down that level of service at all. So I included that in the new report. I also added in the new report, which we did not have available in the first report, was the accident history at the intersection of Manor and Main Street. And I included that in the report, and we did actually, it was a 5-year study, usually do 3 to 5 years prior to the study that you're working on. And there's virtually very little, if any, cars or accidents that occurred that would make it anything near what we call a high accident location, which would be 5 accidents or more a year at an intersection over a period of time. There were virtually none, or very little, as you may see in the report. We also looked at, let me just make sure I get this right here. Here we go. We also, again, as last time, there was no other developments that we had found in the area, and we also used the same trip generation rates because nothing has changed with the building since the last hearing. So in fact, it's the same level of service, everything is the same, and you got to realize also that when you design a roadway of any type, or any type of building that you may design, you don't design it for the worst case scenario. You can't do it. You don't take counts on a Christmas day, for example, or the day before Christmas. It just doesn't happen. You can't do that. If we had to design things for the worst case scenarios, in each case, there's a problem. You can't design things for that way. You've got to do it based on, in traffic engineering terms, we use what's called the 85th percentile. That means that it's not the worst case, but it's close to being the worst versus an average case. And that's what you do when you look at these intersections, and that's what the analysis showed. So bottom line is, it's basically the same as we had before. Levels of service B in all cases, except it went down from, as last time, from a B to a C with an extra 3-second delay. That's it.
Anyone else? Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Good evening.
Hi, good evening. My name is Sean Harkin. I'm a senior acoustic consultant at SoundSense LLC with offices in Wainscott. As the board knows, we've been engaged to complete an acoustic study for the Diamond Estate. As Mr. Charters noted, that study was submitted to the town yesterday. We know that the town still has to review the study, provide comment. I'm here tonight to give a summary of the study that was completed, as well as the results for the board and for the public, and to receive comment. As we discussed in our prior testimony during the prior public hearing and the documents submitted to the town, the goal of the study is to ensure that the events held within the building and the amplified sound comply with the town noise ordinance, as well as New York State Department of Environmental Conservation criteria relating to an impact determination. Given the Town of Riverhead's audibility criteria relating to amplified sound in the noise ordinance, we propose to apply an objective criteria of 5 decibels above the existing L90 background sound levels. And I want to clarify what those L90 sound levels are. They are the sound levels that are exceeded 90, it is the sound level that is exceeded 90% of the time. So 10% of the time the sound level is less, 90% of the time the sound level is higher. It is a very accurate determination of the background sound level with no noise, right? Although inaudibility itself can never be guaranteed, the threshold of 5 decibels over an existing background sound level is generally accepted as a threshold for audibility. Since the existing sound level was included in the study was 30 dBA, 5 dBA over this level would comply with all of the objective criteria within the town's noise ordinance, so the L10 and the LMAX for day and night, as well as the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation criteria. I also want to note that this 30 dBA level is very quiet even for the inside of a residence, let alone for exterior. It's an extremely quiet level, so it is very low. And in our data that was collected previously from an event in 2021, as well as some short-term readings that were recently collected, it was the quietest set of data that was collected during those short-term readings, during times that the events would be representative. To complete the evaluation, a computer noise model was developed in SoundPlan acoustic modeling software, which included the proposed barn with windows and doors, located according to the architectural plans, sound sources and acoustic readings collected in 2021 that we collected with a wedding occurring were used to evaluate predicted sound levels to nearby neighbors. Sound sources were placed inside the proposed barn to evaluate. 23 nearby residences were all evaluated to determine resulting anticipated sound levels, and the 6 nearest residences were evaluated in further detail to analyze frequency-dependent sound levels. This means that at the different pitches, all of the sound levels at various pitches were also evaluated in addition to just overall loudness, since that can have an impact on audibility. The analyses completed were with a live band and DJ, as well as 200 attendees. 10 decibels worth of safety factors were also built into the calculations to account for generally accepted variations between lab-tested acoustic ratings and field performance of sound insulating acoustic performance, as well as additional sound transmission, which can happen with varying wind directions. Various situations were analyzed, including with all windows and doors closed, the facade doors open only, as well as the vestibule doors open. The analyses show that with the appropriate mitigation, the sound received at all neighbors are predicted to meet the design criteria for the project. The mitigation measures which have been included in the acoustic study are the following: adjusting the layout of the proposed barn to add a vestibule around the facade doors at the northern end of the barn, changing the locations of the doors in the vestibules so that they are not directly across from the facade doors, specifying sound insulating walls, roof, window, and door constructions to mitigate sound. And the walls and roof are recommended to have an STC rating of 64. Windows and doors are recommended to have an STC rating of 46, which is a metric that we use to classify sound transmission across a wall, a ceiling, a door. And windows and doors should not exceed 37.6% of the total wall square footage at each wall. Some additional, more granular recommendations are included in the study to make sure that we account for various things that could happen in construction and provide some additional detail. They're included in the acoustic report, which will of course be reviewed. And I'm happy to address any questions.
So, Mr. Harkin, I will say that you did a very thorough analysis. This is complicated data. It'll take me a little more than 24 hours to comprehend it.
Very understandable.
So it is quite in-depth. I just do have one simple question, is that the report in which you put together, does the construction company, does the developer agree to all of your suggestions within this entire report? In other words, you know, are they following your recommendations to a T?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, anyone have any comments, please come forward? Thank you. Hello.
Good evening. Doug Adams, professional engineer, geologist, partner, Young Associates. Address is at 400 Ostrander Avenue, Riverhead.
Okay.
Just a couple of comments that I wanted to add to the record. One being that, in line with your question just now, Councilman, acoustically engineering a building will add a cost of at least 10% to the building, at least. And as far as the site plan goes, although it may not have much to do with sound, which is, I think, the focus of tonight, we're certainly open to recommendations of different kinds of screening and landscaping with the building, anything along those lines to help with, just the visual impacts.
All right. Got it.
That concludes our presentation. Thank you for listening to us.
Okay.
I will reiterate that, yes, we're ready to build. I'm sorry. Okay, better now?
Yes.
I just said that concludes our presentation, and we appreciate your giving us this time. We tried to make it brief, but we believe that we have an appropriate building to build, and we'd like to do that. Thank you.
Okay, so we still have to hear from the public.
Good evening.
Yes.
Frank Blangiardo, 333 and 353 Manor Lane. I reside on my farm directly across the street from the Jamesport Manor Inn, who became the Jamesport Manor Orchard. Now it's the Demon Estates, but it's Carr McVeigh was the original applicant. Somehow we have an application here, but it's not the restaurant that's across the street from me. That is Demon Estates, and they're basically empty all the time. I represent a lot of restaurants. I represent all of the Michelangelos on the North Fork. I represent Claudio's. I did the closing by myself. I represent Lenny's, Il Giardino. So I know a little bit about restaurants, and the one across the street from me is empty. They're on the ropes, and they're going out of business. I'm there 365 days a year, and they're empty. I don't know who is going to run this catering hall, but I don't think it's any of these people, because they're just looking to get approval and sell it to someone else. So what we have here is this photograph I brought in April, and that's festival lights across the street from my home, and they were on last night till after midnight. I went to sleep. I don't know how late they were on. Matt Carr, who I believe is in charge of this, puts those lights on, and he leaves them on every night, all night. We're in dark sky laws, and he keeps them on. and this goes to the applicant, which is Matt Carr. I don't know about all these other names, but it's Matt Carr. He's directly across the street from me since I moved there in 2008, and he keeps those lights on. He's not a good neighbor. He's not a good applicant. He shouldn't be given any courtesies or extensions by this town board. Mr. Charles Cuddy is now representing the applicant. And the town is represented by Smith, Finkelstein, Yakubowski, directly across the street with Mr. Cuddy, hand in glove. Now, what's pending before this board is in Nassau County. The Supreme Court, Article 78 is in Nassau County. So it's interesting how the applicant brought a Supreme Court case, Article 78. Mr. Howard knows all about it, and you're being represented by Smith, Finkelstein, Yakubowski in Nassau County with a Nassau County judge, but then they choose to bring in Charles before you all. So they want to keep it, and you made a motion to bring it back to Suffolk County. That's still pending, and they got some good basis there. They probably will bring it back to Suffolk County. However, it's interesting to note that they bring in Charles. They've got Up West lawyers in Nassau County, but they bring in Charles Cuddy, right across the street from your lawyers. Stone's throw, right across the way, hand in glove. And they'd be working you over, okay? Don't let them do that to you. See for what it is. Now let's talk about what this is. That map there, which is a scar on the APZ, Yvette, we talked about it. It would be like a cruise ship on Manor Lane. That's what we talked about in April when we were all here with all of my neighbors working together to just represent. And I give the board a lot of credit for all your hard work, and I'm behind you 100%. This is back from the dead. This is stemming from an old Peter Fox Cohallen decision and his secretary, Dan Murphy, out of 2008, 2009. But this building now is connected with some hallway, a breezeway. So they're trying to get it, and they're doing that to, I think, the captain's house in South Jamesport, which is not with Jedediah Hawkins. You guys approved that. They got a barn with a breezeway. They're not very busy there, and they made it into one expansion. And this is an expansion. And I'd like Charles, Mr. Schneider, the sound fellow, the engineer, to say, how can this not be looked at as an expansion when they're trying to hypnotize you with a breezeway that attaches this big cruise ship to the back of this restaurant? So it's not an accessory, and a garage can either be attached, Charles, or adjacent, and an accessory building. And if you try to put a 3-car garage on your house, that has to be looked at as an expansion. This is an expansion. And the town code, and even Judge Cohallen back in 2009 said that you have the right to deny the town board an expansion of a non-conforming use. But in that decision, he says, makes no mention of an expansion of an accessory of a non-conforming use. And this is where they played the games. Now, this site plan, now that nice apartment building looks beautiful that they've been working on for 6 years, that was just on. This site plan is dated February of this year. So this is a brand new bouncing baby site plan where they put this breezeway that's connecting a giant 6,000 square foot building to the back of the restaurant, which will look like a cruise ship and be a scar on the APZ. You can't honestly say that this is not an expansion of a non-conforming use. They have to admit, nobody in their right mind will say that this is not a non-conforming use because they know it's a non-conforming use. The restaurant itself is a non-conforming use, and this is definitely an expansion of a non-conforming use. So if it's an expansion of a non-conforming use and it's attached, then even by Judge Cohallen's decision of 2009, the town board requires a special permit because it's obviously, in plain English, an expansion of a non-conforming use. Now, we spoke with Mr. Snyder. He gave some testimony last time. He came back again. The sound fellow, God bless him, he came up and talked about it. And I came up in April and I said, they didn't talk about the seats. They didn't talk about the seats. And they assume that barn, as it sits, you know it's going to be 250 seats in there. Now, the restaurant was expanded back in '09 from 80 to 120 and no more. Now, that 120, let's say they put 200 in the barn. That would be 320. The young fellow with the sound, he said he did his study based on 200 seats, not 320. Mr. Schneider talked about his traffic study. What is the, nobody's taking a bus to Manor Lane. We don't have the S92 dropping people off on Manor Lane. So everybody's driving. So Mr. Schneider, I ask you, how many seats are you basing your traffic study on? Okay? Because I live right across the street and big giant buses pull up and park on the side and shoulder of the road because they can't get into that driveway. So I don't want to take any more of your time. I appreciate the work that the town board is doing. Please don't allow this. Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening. Phil Barbado, 211 Manor Lane. I'm about 3,000 feet away from this proposal. This is a long and arduous journey we've been on for the last 15 years or so. This facility is in the middle of the APZ. That's Agricultural Protection Zone. It's surrounded by beautiful farmland and houses. The value of this site is based on that. Instead of thanking us for it, what we're getting is a damn nuisance, pardon my French. Yes, it's a non-conforming use, but the non-conforming use pre-existing was the Manor Inn. Inn, as in, let's stay there for the night. This has morphed into an inn, a restaurant, a major catering facility. This is not a pre-existing use that was there before. The original building even burned down and had to be rebuilt, mysteriously. This site, as it now exists, already affects our environment, our quality of life, and probably our property values. Who wants to buy a house with this kind of a facility right down the road from it? I don't think that's very funny, Mr. Bayrod. I don't think so at all. And I
Did you
don't...
address me?
Sorry?
Did you address me?
Yes, I did, thank you.
For what reason?
Because you were laughing at what I just
I'm
said.
not laughing at what you said.
Oh, thank you.
Well, thank you for addressing me in a finer manner, and make sure you call me councilman.
I will never forget that. Thank you.
Please don't.
As I said, we are suffering already from the environmental effects, effect on our quality of life, and the probably effect on our property values because of this noisy, traffic-causing, the night lights has been mentioned already that go on way beyond what the regs require. And now you're considering a 4-time expansion of this atrocity? The impact is already unacceptable. It's way beyond what the prior non-conforming use was, and it's just not what you want in that part of our town. And we ask you to seriously consider just denying this outright. Thank you.
Good evening. Bonnie Schmidt, 430 Manor Lane, Jamesport. My husband and I have lived and worked here for over 40 years. This proposal to build an event center is not a subordinate use of the existing restaurant. The owners were granted the privilege of a non-conforming use permit to operate a restaurant even after it was previously closed for nearly 7 years, from January 2000 to May 2007. According to the Suffolk County Department of Health Services, the restaurant is approved for 80-seat capacity and clearly does not list the additional outdoor 10 tables, causing it to be 50% over capacity. In addition to the restaurant, Matt Carr is also running an off-site event catering business from this location. This request for an on-site event center consisting of over 70 parking stalls and accommodating over 250 people is not a subordinate use expansion of a restaurant. It is a change of use and should not be allowed in this agricultural protection zone. The sound and traffic studies that were discussed in April contained inaccuracies and, as we know, were not conducted during peak season. The sound study did not take into consideration this open-air vista. Trees and vegetation are not considered an acoustic screen, and the high impact of wind was also not considered in the previous study. Their words, it's possible we can buffer the sound, and it's something we can look at during the construction phase, and soundproof glass can be used to help reduce the noise, are ambiguous terms, and the town cannot assume that the noise will be contained within the event center. As we have previously stated at prior hearings, businesses holding event catering are not content or willing to contain the event within a building. Thus, their requests for adjacent covered patios and other outdoor patio areas. These outdoor patio areas enable the crowd to congregate and dance outside while still hearing the music and the event going on inside the building. Speakers, microphones, and other acoustic hardware may be located within a building, but the music, noise, and vibration will be allowed to permeate to the crowds of guests located outside the center and ultimately to the neighboring houses. The sounds made by a crowd of people of this size located outside on patio areas, just holding normal conversations amongst themselves, would clearly travel to neighboring yards, severely disturbing and dismissing the quality of life and the rights neighbors have to enjoy their own property. Even if there was such a thing as soundproof building, it would not prevent the owners from opening doors and windows to the outdoor patio areas and ultimately closing them as police respond to complaints from neighbors. Unfortunately, this is a scenario all too familiar to us neighbors. Music turned down while the police respond and then cranked up louder than ever after the police leave the premises. In 2019, Matt Carr approached me and my husband as we worked in our yard and asked us not to call the police, but to call him directly if we had a problem with the noise, and that he was going to get a sound specialist to see if there was a way to block the noise. All calls to him were ignored, and ultimately we were told to stop contacting him. The only sound study that was ever done was the one completed this past spring in 2023. In 2021, the code enforcement officer from Riverhead was at our home on multiple occasions and documented the unreasonable noise and vibration. In September 2021, recommendations that were made by the code enforcement officer to Matt Carr were ignored and disregarded. Matt Carr stated at a previous hearing that the police were called to his restaurant over 30 times in 2021, and then proceeded to say he wasn't aware that there was a noise problem. Clearly, he has known firsthand for several years of the unreasonable noise he was forcing upon his neighbors. He did have an employee sitting on Manor Lane with a personal decibel reader. Not that this could be used to accurately measure the sound, but could certainly be interpreted as a measure to pacify neighboring houses. On several occasions, we asked Matt Carr to have his employee sit at our rear property line, where the noise was much louder than out on the road. Request denied. On one occasion, I actually approached the employee with my own personal decibel reader and advised that I was getting readings higher than the allowed town code standing behind his truck. After several pleas from me, he compared the units side by side and acknowledged that mine was indicating a higher reader. I asked him, please, can you use my decibel reader and/or move your truck to the rear of our property where the noise was much louder than out here on the road? The employee made a call, explained what I had asked, and was told, no, you stay where you are and tell her it's a liability issue. This is just one more example of Matt Carr and management knowing that there was a major unreasonable noise problem and ignoring any request to try to mitigate it. In May of 2022, Matt Carr was quoted in an interview with Riverhead Local regarding the new town noise ordinance as stating, "So you know, this law is never going to be able to be enforced." This does not sound to me as someone who wants to cooperate with his neighbors or with the town. The owners are capitalizing at the expense of their neighbors' quality of life, diminishing the value of all neighboring properties and showing time and time again their total disregard for authority and their neighbors. All they want to do is take advantage of all our preservation efforts that have been made in this area. Regarding the traffic survey, how can an event holding over 250 people not have a negative impact on traffic on Manor Lane? Manor Lane is a rural, two-lane road with no sidewalks and no shoulders. It does not have traffic lights at the Route 25 or Sound Avenue junctions. I have witnessed charter buses with their four-way flashes on blocking the northbound lane of Manor Lane as event guests disembark and embark the bus. Multiple times, event guests have wandered off the premises onto Manor Lane and onto the adjacent farm road, causing disturbances to nearby neighbors by subjecting us to their presence, their conversations, their drinking, and their arguments. Manor Lane is a designated bicycle route and is frequented by local residents walking with their children, pushing strollers, jogging, skateboarding, and cycling. What about their safety? This non-conforming event center proposed for this property in an agricultural protection zone will cause a very dangerous precedent for the town of Riverhead. Matt Carr was given the privilege of a non-conforming use permit to operate a restaurant. We as citizens of Riverhead have rights to enjoy our own properties and homes. We ask the town board to protect our rights and welfare. And in regard to the Great Rock scenario being brought up, I don't see how that is comparable as it's not an APZ zone. In addition, I know this is a continuation of the town board meeting from April, but there was no official notice posted for the hearing scheduled for tonight. And again, I want to thank the town for giving us the ability and the right to come up here and state our case.
Thank you, Bonnie.
Did you want to come forward, sir? Good evening.
Good evening, Jesse Bonfeld, Herrick's Lane. I want to thank the board for the opportunity to speak on this topic. You've heard quite a bit. I'm just going to elaborate on a letter I submitted for the April meeting on a few of the points that I made there. As a homeowner on Herrick's, our past experiences with events at the facility, the Diamond Estate, have really been extremely unpleasant and very disruptive, due mostly to the noise level. And understand we are thousands of feet away, further away than some of the other people who are talking here, and yet the impact is still what I would say is extreme. I equate it really to being within proximity to a very large concert venue. The outdoor space is outdoor space. They can talk about having an enclosed space, but as the previous speaker indicated, doors are going to be open, windows are going to be open, people are going to spill out. To think that the noise is going to be contained within an enclosed building, I think is just isn't going to happen. The unpleasantness, that's a relative term, but in real terms, what it means to us is that we have the windows closed in our house, we have new double pane windows, we can't sit in our living room and listen to our television at a normal level when the music is going on at events at this location. We literally have to go to bed and put the earplugs in and hope that eventually, maybe by 11 o'clock, maybe by midnight, the noise level dies down and then we can enjoy our own space. As local taxpayers and homeowners, we feel that allowing these kinds of events, especially into the evening hours, really denies us our rights. We have a right to peaceful enjoyment of our property. Events at this location don't allow us to do that. And the other thing about it that's really troubling to me is that the rights of us and the rights of residents in the area are being infringed upon solely for the benefit of one individual, and that benefit is strictly financial. So interestingly, as mentioned earlier by Mr. Cuddy, there are numerous other venues within the town and within the local area that can meet the requirements of people who want to attend these kinds of events and plan these kinds of events. We don't need another venue. We really don't. I also would equate this situation to the recent issues that we had with planes and helicopters flying over the area. It was a similar situation in that this was a situation that benefited the few at the expense of the many. Again, something that we don't feel we should have to endure as taxpayers in the town of Riverhead. So, respectfully, I really request that the board deny this application, uphold the rights of the many at the expense of the few, and preserve the important features of this area that entice us all to want to live there in the first place. You know what you need to do the right thing.
Okay, anyone else?
Hi there, thanks for the opportunity. I'll be absurdly short. My name's Connor Nelson. I live on Eileen Circle, close to the proposed expansion. I just wanted to come out to voice similar sentiment as my neighbors put much more eloquently than I could. I appreciate their prepared remarks. I appreciate all the work that's gone into the studies. I live thousands of feet from this on Eileen Circle, and on any given night there's an event, I can tell you the first and last name of every single person in the bridal party because I can hear the DJ say it. I can hear individual conversations and the sound of a full container of glass bottles going into a recycling container must go for miles. I respect capitalism. I respect the people's rights to have nice venues and businesses and things. A lot of these make our area very nice. This is in conflict with a number of technical points brought up by my friends and neighbors here, and I just want to say I thank them for preparing such great remarks. Thank you for letting the public come, and I just wanted to let you know that there's just one more neighbor here that hopes that this does not go through. Thank you so much.
Good evening again, Mike Foley, Reeves Park. There's something happening in this town over the last 5 or 6 years, maybe 10, where things just kind of will let go, and expansions turned into non-conforming accessory uses to the detriment of all of our open spaces. The historic Sound Avenue corridor over the last 10 years has had 2 applicants that tried to put catering halls for weddings on the historic Sound Avenue corridor. One of them was denied. One of them is pending, God willing, a denial. But the father of all abuse is the applicant in front of here. As bad as I thought the cider house was, this applicant is obnoxious. He has been obnoxious for over a decade. These fine people that you never see. Alvin, a guy that came to this microphone a couple of years ago. Frank, I know you saw it. I know it hit you because he's one of yours.
I'm not laughing at you.
I know you're not. You know, we laugh often, and you can laugh at me anytime. As long as you don't make me call you counsel. You'll always be Frank to me.
Thank you.
And I'll always be Mike to you. But back to this. I think the tide turned on this guy when Albie came to this microphone. I saw the nods up there. This guy, that's been working for 40 years and you never heard a peep out of him, comes up here with this kind of an appeal that is covered by other people that you do see often. You'll see the Bob Skidders. You'll see the Uncle Johns. You'll see the Mike Foleys. But when you see the heart and soul of this community, this farming community, get abused like this, it hits all of us. I know it hits you. I am confident that regardless of the noise studies, regardless of the traffic studies, regardless of the homegrown local attorneys that are now shilling for this guy, that you hear what's going on here. And I have confidence. It's quiet confidence, trust but verify. I want it confirmed. But you guys initiated legal action against this guy when you heard it. And now they're looking to settle. But what they're looking to settle for is not acceptable. It's not acceptable to the agricultural protective zone. It's not acceptable to the neighbors. It's not acceptable to the contemplated master plan that's being updated. We need to preserve what's left. We know where those things are, and we know where things don't belong. And this does not belong where it's being requested. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Good evening.
Good evening. Madam Supervisor, Councilman,
Okay.
my name is Robert Skinner. I live at 14 Eileen Circle. I am 0.55 miles from the venue where the applicant is asking for all these changes, and I've been before you numerous times. I'm sure you're tired of it. I want to just spotlight 19 events of the 35 that were listed. I have data on at my house, 0.55 miles away. I'm not going to repeat all the stuff that has gone on. I've got some questions about, because I'm hoping that what I have submitted will register, even though the thing that usually sticks with people most is what they're subjected to most recently. And I realize my stuff has been in there and it's been filed and everything else, and I please ask that you review that so that, for the sake of brevity here. Mr. Schneider talks about seasonal factors in his traffic study, the statistics and the data. Unless you are at that intersection at Main Road and 25, Main Road and Manor Lane, or you're at that intersection on Sound Avenue and Manor Lane on a Saturday or a Sunday afternoon, statistics mean nothing. The traffic that is there, I don't know how these statistics are done. I ask you to take a very hard look at that, because if it's amortized out over 7 days, as opposed to what we would have to put up with Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, which I have the data, is prime wedding days, then it's going to be very different from something that you put out on a spreadsheet or a computer program. I asked the town board to look at that very carefully. I think I would like some direct answers from Mr. Harkin, please. Mr. Harkin, I would like to know what dates you did your surveys on, and if you did it with 23 residences, and certainly Carmick Bay LLC has had my address on their radar for years. Nobody was at my house, and I'm the one who has been putting forth the audible data since 2021. That is something that I would like to see some answers on. I want to echo everything that Bonnie Schmidt said regarding not knowing what kind of data would be at various houses, because if you were at my house, you would know what it was. And I've never seen anyone at my house to do any data. I think something that needs to be looked at, and also to echo, is the comparison to Great Rock. Great Rock, I Googled, is a private club. Their improvements were after an ownership change, okay? And so what they are now, if you're gonna do any comparisons to that, and it's a golf course, it's not 3.8 acres in an agricultural protection zone. The applicant here, everybody slams Matt Carr, okay? The applicant here is Carr McVeigh LLC. Where does McVeigh sit in this? As Mr. Blangiardo pointed out, it doesn't seem to be a lot of activity at at Diamond Estates right now. How does that fit into all this as opposed to simply Matt Carr and what his proposals are for the restaurant? What will happen to the building if this is, what will happen to this once this is if this is established? I need to point out there needs to be a correction in the minutes for the original hearing. According to that, the applicant mentioned to the ZBA, and I had mentioned it, that with 20 to 100 attendees for 35 events in the year that the data was presented, it's really, he said 80 to 200, okay? And so if you've got 200, if you've got 200 people already and you look at the plans, and plans call for 53 additional parking spaces with 15 existing now, where are all those people going to park? If, as was previously stated, you look at the size of this expansion and you're talking 250 to 300 people. I did an internet search on April 1st, 2023 to see what Diamond Estates had going on. You could rent the entire building, which was a capacity of 80 for 2,600 feet as it stands. Again, with this expansion, does that go to 240? Is the covered patio enclosed? Is the open patio being counted in any of this? It doesn't seem like it. So my math is done on what I would call the party footprint, which comes up to a nearly 4x expansion. One of the things that I saw in the Google piece that I did about business at Diamond Estates is there's a stable that can be mentioned, that can be rented, but it's not mentioned in any of the proposal with a max of 80. Is that what is shown on the map as the framed garage and slate patio, and that's to the north of the structure? And how come that's not mentioned in any of this proposal if what I was reading is correct about you can get a stable with a max of 80? They also mentioned valet parking. Where does that go? What is banked parking? That was never clarified to my knowledge on the first hearing, and I look at this and say, what is this? People like me are concerned about a proposal like this after having been through what we've been through with the noise and the 35 events and everything that's documented that I've sent to the town, because our neighborhood, some of the people that you've heard and have written in, we're about a mile from 4 different potential venues. Suppose everybody wants to make an expansion like this. Okay, where do we sit then with that kind of noise? What happens to the town of Jamesport if within that kind of distance these people want to make all these types of expansions? The town board needs to consider the cumulative effect of this. In the beginning, I too thought that catering at what was Jamesport Manor was fair and reasonable. However, in the ZBA of 3/24/22, the applicant states, "I'm just conducting my business." Our experience with this Carr McVeigh enterprise has significantly altered our anticipation of what we consider to be acceptable business practice by the applicant. Should this proposal be approved, please do not approve the special permit request. Thank you.
still 1.75 miles away as crow flies. And as I've told the town board at the previous meeting, I can hear the last 10 minutes of the party around 10 of 11 over from the Manor Inn or the Demon Estates. And you know what do you hear? You hear Twist and Shout, you hear One More, you hear YMCA. It's a normal thing on weekends where I live. The only good thing is that I'm not hearing it like the taxpayers here that are hearing it, that are come up to the microphone. I believe every taxpayer in this town deserves peace and quiet at night and day, summer, spring, winter, and fall. Thank you very much. Please deny the special application.
Hi, Sean Harkin with Sound Sense. I just want to respond because Mr. Skinner did ask a direct question. As far as the dates are concerned for the data collection that was performed previously, I don't have the date in front of me that was collected in October. I know it was October of 2021 during an event that a lot of the reference sound level data was collected. I also know it was a Saturday night. We will certainly be happy to provide the specifics on that. As far as there was additional data that was collected recently, that data was collected on June 13th, and there is additional data that was collected from June 13th all the way through June 19th on the site directly. I want to note one more thing as far as response to the comments. So when we collected sound level readings, they were collected at and near the Diamond Estate, as well as another location north on Manor Lane where we were provided access to. It's not reasonable, or I should say realistic, to collect actual data at 20, 30 different locations, because by the time you go from location to location, the sound characteristics of the sources can change significantly. So what is more realistic for us to do is to collect at a number of locations closer to the site, put it into the computer model, and validate that we're getting the same results in the computer model that we did in the field. And then the computer model results can be extrapolated to a larger amount of receiving areas, which is exactly what we did, both in 2021 when we looked at outdoor events, which I know I stated it in the previous meeting, nothing that was done in the 2021 study was implemented at that time because weddings ceased at the property. And then, we also did the same thing with this study.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Good evening, Supervisor and Town Council. I'm John Sapala. I reside at 81 Jessup Avenue in Quogue. And I am a farmer on Manor Lane and the owner of all the land surrounding the Manor Inn, as well as 8 residential parcels that are within 1,000 feet of the Manor Inn, some right next to the Manor Inn. So I too speak in opposition to this. What we heard tonight in terms of statistics about sound and whatnot, these are nothing more than speculations and predictions of what the sound would be like given the construction of this new 6,000 square foot building with the sound abatement and improvements that they would do, and the promise to keep the doors closed and mitigate the sound in that way. Their goal is to get a catering hall. Their sound testing didn't include the slamming of 100 or so car doors at the beginning of a wedding and then again at the end of a wedding, with also the alarm devices being activated by yet the same number of people to find their car And it probably didn't include the sound of Marty yelling at Stephanie, "You had too much to drink tonight." Get in the car, you know, finding people trespassing through my farm. I mitigated some of that with the fence that I put around my farm. But with all this that you see here tonight, a team of lawyers, experts. The thing I liked the most was the fact that it was compared to getting an additional on your house of a garage. If that's the case, maybe I should retain him, because he could get me a garage that's more than twice the size of my house. And I just don't see this as a fair comparison. We're in an APZ, Agricultural Protection Zone. Manor Lane is a model of agriculture, and it's a model of the APZ itself. We are in the largest expanse of agriculturally protected land anywhere on Long Island. It's the quietest place on Long Island, I'm sure. As example, people have stepped up to this podium. They're quite a distance away, yet they can make out clearly names of individuals being announced. You can hear people yelling. It's not just about the sound of a band, and you could bury them in the basement if you want. You're still going to have the rest of the sounds. You're going to have the traffic impact that is going to affect everybody that lives on Manor Lane. Our farms, our land, we really do love our property. I have invested a lot in my land and the farming community as a whole. I talked about it last time. I showed you the map that I did away with to put my foot forward in the right way and keep Manor Lane a farming community. Again, I just want to thank you for the opportunity, Supervisor and Town Council, and express my opposition to this plan. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening, Madam Supervisor and council members. My name is Joan Sear, and I live in Jamesport. And I urge you to deny this request for all of the reasons that were previously stated: noise, parking, traffic. The rural setting that appeals to couples who want country weddings is precisely what this type of expansion ruins. And I recognize the applicant wants to capitalize on the desires of the consumers, but it's exactly what the area does not need. Approval sets a bad precedent. It opens up the floodgates to other venues in our peaceful hamlet that we're trying to keep peaceful, who want to expand for event hosting, other wineries, breweries, restaurants, of which we have many. I think it will set a very bad precedent for that. It's in an agricultural protection zone. There is nothing in this application that protects the community or protects the agricultural heritage and future of this community. And again, I urge you not to approve the request. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Just me with some housekeeping. Just so the board's aware. Is it better, Bob? Good. Sorry, everybody. I'm very low register. The board will have to make a secret determination on this if the board, takes an action on this application. Obviously, we have some of the information we need now to further process that. There is a 30-day lead agency coordination period for this because it's a type 1 action. The next town board meeting, we would likely have to do that just to initiate lead agency coordination amongst involved agencies. The that's really it. That would be the next action that the board would take, barring some change in the application status. Anybody, if that makes sense.
So what are you asking for us to move it forward to that stage?
We would have to coordinate prior, I'm just saying, seeker will have to be coordinated amongst lead agencies prior to the board taking any action on this application.
Right, okay.
Yep. So typically, it's done by resolution for a special permit. So obviously, that wouldn't happen now. That would happen at a future meeting of the town board.
Go ahead, are we gonna go with the coordination?
It has to be done right now.
No, it doesn't have to be done.
Okay.
No, I'm just saying that would be the next step.
Okay, great.
Yep.
That's perfect then. Anyone else? Okay. Chip, anyone? No. No one from the board? Okay. Okay, we're now going to close the public portion section of this hearing. The time is 8:40 and 8:39. And we're going to leave it open. It's going to remain open for written comments until 4:30 p.m. on June 30th, 2023 at the town clerk's office. And this concludes our public portion of our town board meeting, and we're now going to move on to public comments on the resolutions. Again, the resolutions, but only the resolutions before us. And if you can identify the resolution number, it'll be tremendously helpful to us.
Good evening, Mike Foley, Reeves Park. I'd like to speak collectively on resolutions 482, 483, and 484. All of them have to do with appointments or reappointments of planning board members. As I read it, it appears to me that we have two existing members whose terms expire at the end of 2023 and at the end of...
Devin, you're talking about the resolutions. You got to listen up.
And at the end of 2027. Everybody hear me okay? Because maybe
Yeah, we
I
can.
guess you're asking Devin for this.
Yeah, because she was talking, and
That's
and
great.
she does
No,
the
that's great.
resolutions in case we have to answer questions. That's all.
Thanks, Yvette, that's great. This has nothing to do with the three individuals. It has to do with the process of appointment and expiration of planning board members in years, 1 through 5. We have 5 members that serve for 5 years, and the expirations are supposed to be staggered by year, 23, 24, 25, 26, and 27. And what this does, again, speaking of the process, not the individual, but I will mention the individuals, because on 484, we have Joanne Waske, who was appointed to chair the planning board to the conclusion of, oh God, out of sight, out of mind. Thank you very much. Stan Carey's resignation. And Joanne is, her completion of Stan's term is December of 2023, December of this year. So, and as I know, just because I read Riverhead Local and other things, I know that Joanne is running for town council, so if she's successful in that, then we'll have to replace Joanne with another planning board member. She can't serve as the council and on the planning board. So it would seem to me that Joanne has enough time left on her term, 2023, to leave it exactly as that, as opposed to being spoken about being extended to December of 2028, which is actually in excess of 5 years, which is a violation of state law. So I'm hoping that all of this was just a mistake on the way it was written, but to continue on 483, we have Ed
Mike,
Dennis.
we got to answer that because she's now a chair.
Mike, if I could.
Please.
All of the resolutions were correct. The appointment for another 5 years that was in Joanne's resolution was a mistake. It was a copy and paste from another reappointment resolution. Her resolution only appoints her as chair for the year 2023.
Excellent. And it's the same way with Eddie and this new guy?
Yes, everybody's resolution.
That takes care of the problem.
Wait a minute, hold on.
The terms were correct.
the chair is appointed and the deputy is every year,
Yes,
every
those
year.
are
And then the others are the 5 terms.
but the way the...
Yeah, he corrected everything.
Yeah, the way it was stated here, it looked like they were extending for 5 years,
Yeah,
not just
no.
being reappointed for 1.
Thank you.
Well, thank you. And just one other thing, I was curious. I don't know anything about John Hogan. Hopefully, he will be competent, and he will be objective, and he won't be working on the best interests of the developers, but in the best interests of the town. But I did speak to a few people that were interested in this position, and they didn't know that it was open. So I would just ask you, Yvette, where did the job opening get posted? Because I
Okay,
was,
sure. So it was put on Indeed, and anybody who can go in there and they can get notices when any jobs, you can put Riverhead. So it was put on Indeed, it was put on the town website, and I made I believe it was 2 announcements at town board meetings
thanks,
and
Yvette.
work sessions. So I think that's enough to get the word out there.
It absolutely is.
Yeah.
I was not aware it was on the town. Actually, I was told it was not on the town website.
No, I think at one time it wasn't, Devin, I think, and it was corrected. It was, okay? It was
Thank you
on the
very much.
website.
Thank
It
you.
definitely was. And we did receive applications, so it's not like,
Thank you.
yeah. Okay, anyone else on the resolutions before us today? Okay, is it on Zoom? I thought somebody was coming up, but it's on Zoom? Okay, we'll bring up who's ever on Zoom. Okay. Mr. Harari, would you just address the board, and not one particular individual, and please, don't attack the employees of this town. It's not civil to do that. And, you know, we're willing to hear what you have to say. Address the board, not individuals. I would really appreciate it.
Yes, I'd actually like to ask a question regarding certain proposed employments. The first is, I noticed one resolution appointing an individual named Cameron Rothwell. To clarify, is that any relationship to Councilman Rothwell?
Yes, it is. It's my son.
It's your son, sir.
Yes.
So out of all the possible employees, they just happened to select your son. Is that right, sir?
Oh, he's currently an employee, and he's serving as a traffic control officer, and all of the traffic control officers are becoming more seasonal, so they put more hours into the busy season, and then their hours are reduced in the winter season.
Thank you. Is there a policy regarding nepotism in this town? There's a policy.
Sitting on the Personnel Committee, Mr. Harari, we interview people for these positions and we hire the best qualified that come in for the interviews. And it's my understanding it was done exactly the same way with this individual when an opening came up.
So you just happened to pick the son of the guy
It just
sitting next
happened,
to you
yeah,
on
it
that-
just happened,
on that
Mr.
dais. Is
Harari.
that right, sir?
It just happened, yes, it did,
Just happened.
yes,
Just like the gentleman in front of you.
absolutely. You hire the best quality that comes in and that's what you get good quality, Mr. Harari.
Speaking about your other appointments, I noticed that one of the appointees is Joanne Waskey. Is that right? What resolution are you talking about?
Must be 482?
Can
We're
you tell me
appointing
whether
her to
the...
the
484?
planning board.
What number is it, 482, 484?
As the planning chair.
484.
So can you tell me whether or not the town has engaged Ms. Waskey's title company to perform work for the town?
I don't believe that that's possible, and I guess you're doubting her ethics. I think you can...
I'm asking a question. Do you know the answer? And perhaps
Comments
Mr. Hubbard's son-in-law, the town attorney, can help us.
Thank
Can
you for your,
tell us
thank you for
whether
your
or
opinion.
not-
Thank you for your
Can you
opinion,
tell us
Mr.
whether or
Harari.
not the town has engaged Miss Waski's title company to render services to the town.
Just have to foil it.
I don't know that answer off the top of my head, Mr. Ferrari.
What resolution
Can I
is
ask
that?
whether you know who rendered title services and performed title work in connection with the town's purchase of a
Is
town
this,
square?
is this
of a town
related
square?
to a resolution aside from Waski, being appointed?
I'm
being
asking a
reappointed.
question whether or not you have engaged Ms. Waski's title firm to render services to the town.
We did. We used her title company for 4 to 6 West 2nd Street.
So I would just raise the question as to whether or not that creates a potential appearance of impropriety or conflict of interest, because at the same time that she is rendering services to the town, she's rendering decisions relating to matters presented by town officials in her capacity as a member of the planning board. And I would urge that before you proceed with a reappointment, that you further investigate the matter and refer the question of its propriety to the town's ethics board.
Comments will be taken under advisement, Mr. Ferrari.
Thank you, counsel.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay, this is gonna conclude the public comment portion, and can we call the resolutions, please?
Sure. Resolution 448.
Budget transfer, excuse me, budget transfer for new town hall appraisal, so moved.
Seconded.
Vote, please.
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguilar.
Yes.
Resolution adopted.
I just want to jump in on that. Bob Kern has been tremendous with the work he's put in with the new town hall, organizing, setting things up, and I just want to give a round of applause here to Bob for all he's done and doing. We're going to be in, I do believe, much sooner than I ever thought was going to be possible. So, Bob, thank you for all the work you've been
Well,
doing on this.
yeah, and kudos to all the town departments, engineering, et cetera, legal, we've been working as a team.
A lot of speed bumps we never envisioned, and you've been handling them very well, so thank you very much.
Pleasure.
Resolution 449.
Water District Capital Project, 82318, 360 West Lane, budget adoption. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote, please.
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguilar.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 450.
203 to 213 East Main Street, Riverhead Sewer District Capital Project, so moved.
Second.
Vote, please.
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguilar.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 451.
Budget transfer for emergency traffic signal repairs, so moved.
Second.
Vote, please.
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguilar.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 452.
Rescinds Resolution 2023-208 and authorizes purchase of highway equipment. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote, please.
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguilar.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 453.
Awards bid for annual procurement contract. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote, please.
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguilar.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 454.
Awards bid for removal and disposal of sludge, cake, and grit screen waste, so moved.
Second.
Vote, please.
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Cake, I'm getting hungry. Oh, I'm sorry, yes.
Hi.
Wrong cake.
Wrong kind of cake? Okay.
Yes.
Aguilar.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 455.
Awards bid for Holly Tree Lane Water Main Extension, so moved.
Second.
Vote, please.
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguilar.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 456.
Timmy.
Awards bid for annual construction contract. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote, please.
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguilar.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 457.
Extends bid for fertilizer and lawn chemicals. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote, please.
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguiar.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 458.
Nope. Amends Town Board Resolution 2023-413. So moved.
Second.
Vote, please.
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguiar.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 459.
Ratify stipulation with the Riverhead Town Superior Officers Association, SOA, regarding observation of Juneteenth as a holiday 2023. So moved.
Second.
Vote, please.
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguiar. Resolution adopted. Resolution 460.
Ratify stipulation with the Riverhead Town Police Benevolent Association, PBA, regarding observation of Juneteenth as a holiday 2023. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote, please.
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguiar.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 461.
Ratify stipulation with the CSEA Local 1000, AFSCME, AFL, CIO, regarding observation of Juneteenth as a holiday 2023. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote, please.
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguiar.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 462.
Appoints a Colon Recreation Aide to the Recreation Department. So moved.
Second.
Vote, please.
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguiar.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 463.
Appoints a Colon Assistant Recreation Leader to the Recreation Department. So moved.
Second.
Vote, please.
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguiar.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 464.
Appoints a call-in park attendant to the Recreation Department. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote, please.
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguiar.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 465.
Appoints a call-in park attendant to the Recreation Department. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote, please.
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguiar.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 466.
Appoints a Colon Recreation Aide to the Recreation Department. So moved.
Second.
Vote, please.
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguiar.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 467.
Appoints a Colon Recreation Aide to the Recreation Department. So moved.
Second.
Vote, please.
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguiar.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 468.
Appoints a Senior Citizens Program Director. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote, please.
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yeah, Kelly Touch has been doing a great job down at the Senior Center for
Sure
us,
has.
and this was overdue for her, so I absolutely vote yes.
Aguiar.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 469.
Ratifies the appointment of an automotive equipment operator. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote, please.
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguiar.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 470.
Accepts the resignation of a part-time police officer. So moved.
Second.
Vote, please.
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguiar.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 471.
Changes the status of part-time traffic control specialists and part-time traffic control officers. So moved.
Second.
Vote, please.
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Abstain.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguiar.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 472.
Is that me again? Changes the status of part-time police officers. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote, please.
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Two great guys. Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguiar.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 473.
Terminates the employment of a driver, messenger. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote, please.
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguiar.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 474.
Rescinds resolution number 2023-398. So moved.
Second.
Vote, please.
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguiar.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 475.
Approve special event Chapter 255 application for the Dark Side Productions, Dark Side Haunted House. So moved.
Second.
Vote, please.
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguiar.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 476.
Order calling for public hearing for the construction of a new ground storage tank at East Wind Drive, Wading River, New York, for the Riverhead Water District. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote, please.
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes, a new tank for waterfront.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted.
It's the waterman back there going yes.
Aquaman. Resolution.
Aquaman, man, it's better, sorry.
Resolution 477.
Order calling for a public hearing regarding a capital improvement for the extension of facilities of the Riverhead Water District for the Suffolk Theater Edition for a lateral water main extension at the property known as Suffolk County Tax Map District 600, Section 129, Block 1, Lot 8.4, 18 East Main Street, Riverhead, New York. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote, please.
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 478.
Authorizes the supervisor to execute memorandum of understanding with Department of Homeland Security for E-Verify. So moved.
Second.
Vote, please.
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 479.
Approves agreement between Town of Riverhead and Winship Media LLC, utilize parking, police personnel, and police cars, 2023 Jazz in the Vine. So moved.
Second.
Vote, please.
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 480.
Approves Macarone Plumbing Incorporated as drain layer for Riverhead Sewer District. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote, please.
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 481.
Authorizes the Community Development Department to apply for a New York State Environmental Facilities Corporation Green Innovation Grant for Meeting House Creek Restoration Project. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote, please.
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 482.
Appoints planning board member Hogan.
Second.
So moved. It's okay.
Shouldn't this resolution have the first name of the individual? John Hogan?
It's
It
in
is
the
on
body
here.
of
Yeah,
it.
I know, but on the title. Okay, because titles sometimes just come up if you go into the system, but that's fine.
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Thank you, Dick O'Day, for your service. It's been immense over the years. We appreciate everything you've done. Look forward to continue working with you in other capacities. I vote yes.
Bayrock.
I want to mirror those exact sentiments. Dick O'Day has been a great member of the planning board and a good friend and vital to this community. I want to thank him for his time, and yes, I approve John Hogan.
Hubbard.
Ditto and ditto. Done a great job for the town, for the planning board. Appreciate all that he's put in, and look forward to what he may help us with in the future. So I vote yes.
Aguirre.
Yes, and last week, that was the one thing that I wanted to do, hold off of this, still vote on it on Tuesday, which we're doing, and let him know. We've unfortunately had to learn on TV yet, but 32 years of service. You did a great job. You're a gentleman. I've gotten to know you the last 9, 10 years, and your family, and we wish you luck, and I know that it's not the end of you, because you still sit on a couple of advisory boards, and I hope you stay sitting on them. Thank you again for your service.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 483.
That's you, Bobby.
Reappoints member to the Riverhead Planning Board. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote, please.
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Okay, finally heard from him. He wants to serve and do us well. Thank you, Ed, and I vote yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 484.
Ratifies appointment of Joanne Waskey to serve as chairperson of the planning board for the town of Riverhead. So moved.
Seconded.
I vote, please.
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Absolutely, yes.
Hubbard.
She's done a great job since she came onto the planning board, and I wanted to keep up the work, so I vote yes.
Aguirre.
Yes, very knowledgeable, a member of the community, a very civil person, and I vote yes. Thank you for your service.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 485.
Amends Resolution 2023-2008, authorizing purchase of highway equipment for highway maintenance, construction, reconstruction, and/or snow removal. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote please.
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Mayrod.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 486.
Got yelled at last month. I think this is supposed to be Frank's resolution.
Yeah, it's from Mayrod. Mayrod, you want to read it?
Pays bills.
Second.
You should put it in the system that way from now on.
Second.
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Mayrod.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 487.
One more, Bob.
One more at the end. Yeah, usually the bills is at the end.
Ratifies
but the-
appointment special counsel on the legal action against the town of Riverhead in the matter of the city of New York versus Rockland County.
That's all.
That all. So moved.
Seconded?
Vote please.
Kern.
Yes.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Mayrod.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted.
Before we close the meeting, I want to make a comment on the IDA. We spoke about the residential buildings, correct? And how it affects people. What wasn't advertised into the IDA benefits is all the commercial buildings that don't have any children that the IDA gives benefits to. I just want to clear that up to anybody so there's no confusion.
Okay, anyone else? Okay, thank you, everyone. This concludes our meeting. Can I have a first and a second? Okay, we forgot about that. It's getting late, that's right. Well, we don't have much people here, so let's see. Does anyone want to come forward? Okay, you go come to the mic, Barbara. Okay. You're back, okay?
Yes, I am, and I was hoping you'd be able to indulge me one moment. I've worked many, many years with Dick O'Day alongside, and I just wanted to express my public appreciation for his many years. He was a gentleman. He was a very professional colleague. He was respectful all the time, and I wanted to extend a congratulations to him on his tenure. It's a very positive one. He left a very wonderful legacy, and I don't know Mr. Hogan, but I'm sure he will step right in and be a contributing member from the very start. So that's what I was going to say.
You
Ms.
worked with him, right? When you were on the planning board?
I was absolutely working alongside him, and when I left, he assumed the chairmanship at the time.
Right, so he
Yes.
worked as a chair also?
Yes.
Great guy, Barbara. Thank you.
Amazing person. Thank you for
Yes.
saying that.
You want to come forward on your open comment? Good evening.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Bill Hedges, and I'm from Shoreham.
Okay.
The better part of my career was spent in Riverhead School District, better part of 30 decades, 30, oh my goodness, 3 decades. And chances are, if you have children and they attended the school and since 1990, I probably had them in my phys ed class or on one of my teams. So I'm very much interested in what's going on in the Riverhead towns. For most of 21, 22, I spent a lot of my time at school board meetings in Riverhead and in my kids' school district in Longwood regarding the COVID mitigations that was going on. I really, most of my life was not really interested in local government, and I really applaud this town and the people that are coming forth to get involved with their local government. I think that's awesome. And there are many issues that are going on today. I think I'd rather spend time getting a root canal than to go through what you guys are going through today. But I applaud the entire board. So Supervisor Aguilar and the rest of the town council. Recently, I've been working with a group that is interested in election integrity. New York Citizens Audit is the name of the group, and they are working with Andrew Paquette, PhD, also known as Dr. Art Zark. He's a brilliant cyber intelligence and cybersecurity expert. He discovered 4 hidden algorithms in the New York State voter rolls, also known as New York State Voter, NICE Voter. The algorithms found in the databases link county voter identification and state Board of Election identification numbers in such a way that it could be used as a third ID number, which then could be used to clandestinely tag and track records of interest, such as phantom voters. Every county official that Dr. Paquette spoke with about this subject stated they had no idea that the algorithms even existed. None had seen any sign of their existence prior to these findings. The algorithms perform no security function, and they're not designed to optimize database performance. Regardless, fictitious records and votes, cloned records, and deletion of records all violate the law. We know election fraud occurred. There is too much evidence to deny it, and with any to deny it with any credibility. Whoever is responsible for the algorithms is deliberately or negligently violating the law on a systemic and regular basis. Dr. Paquette's findings in New York's voter roll algorithms were recently peer-reviewed and published in a scientific journal. The Journal of Information Warfare. And I believe you should have received an article by email yesterday regarding that. And it was great to be back in Riverhead. It's nice seeing you all. I wish you luck in the future with your endeavors. Good luck.
Good seeing you, Coach Hedges.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi. Hi.
How we doing?
Good.
Okay, let's see. Where are we here? My name is Roy Reynolds. I'm actually from Brookhaven Town. And not to beat a dead horse, but I got to get this information out there, okay? And the research done by New York Citizens Audit has raised quite a few questions about the voter rolls. These are questions that we as private citizens cannot answer. And they are probably best answered by the Suffolk County Board of Elections or the State Board of Elections. But maybe you can help us get some answers. And here's some of the questions that we have for the Suffolk County Board of Elections. Has the Suffolk County Board of Elections investigated why there exist multiple New York State voter ID numbers for multiple Suffolk County residents? There should be only one per registrant. Has the Suffolk County Board of Election canvassed the registrants with multiple New York State voter ID numbers? If so, what were the results? Does the Suffolk County Board of Election know why the New York State voter database contains algorithms? Does the Suffolk County voter database itself contain algorithms? Does the Suffolk County Board of Elections know who changed the vote counts originally reported by the New York State Board of Election for the 2020 general election, so they conform to New York State Secretary of State's reported count? Counts were changed on July 28, 2021, after certification. Does the Suffolk County Board of Election know why 4,066 registrants in Suffolk County were allowed to vote before their voter registration date? Does the Suffolk County Board of Election know why the New York State Board of Election database indicates that 176 people in Suffolk County voted without a residence address? Does the Suffolk County Board of Election know why at least 31 people voted in Suffolk County who are older than the oldest known living resident in the United States? Does the Suffolk County Board of Election know who has access to the New York State voter database and is capable of making changes to the data? Are there agencies, individuals, consultants that do this? Who has access to the Suffolk County voter database and can make changes? Okay, we need your help in getting some of these questions answered. And to be candid, we've hit a brick wall with the Suffolk County Board of Elections and New York State Board of Elections. They don't want to talk to us. They don't want to know about it. We think they're embarrassed of what we found. And perhaps you could put a little pressure on them. I know we gave you a resolution to be hopefully signed by you. That resolution would help us in moving this up the chain. And we want to get this to the Suffolk County Board of Elections and then to the state. As I said, they are not cooperating with us at all. So you could help us by signing that resolution. Thank
Well,
you.
that has to be reviewed by our legal department, the resolution, and then we have to look into it. Have you made your pitch in other towns?
We have been,
So what towns are they? Because
we have been to every town,
all 10
in
towns in
Suffolk.
Suffolk?
every town in Suffolk and Nassau except for East Hampton and Sag Harbor. Okay? And we've been to the two cities in Nassau County. And we've given this presentation, I've given this presentation 2 or 3 times to each town. Okay,
Two
so
cities, Glen Cove, Long Beach.
those are the 2 cities in Nassau County, yes.
Very
Is that what I said?
I just
Oh,
wanted
yeah.
to clear that up.
Yeah, so we're following up. This is the 3rd time we've been here with you, so we're doing this with every town. And bottom up, and hopefully we'll get some results, all right? I know that we're also working at the state level, and they made presentations to the assembly up there, and you know, you could help a lot just by moving this forward, okay? Because this is a real thing. Trust me. I'm a professional engineer. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't a real thing. I know the data, okay? So, trust me, this is a real thing.
What towns have signed on? You know?
There's no one here, no towns from down here, but there's 20 upstate New York have signed.
Okay, so no, not yet.
No,
Because I think that's the
a lot of
concept.
promises, people, we're gonna sign, but,
Okay.
you know, they usually give it to their attorneys, and then everything gets quiet. But this is still making an impact. The mere fact that you're listening to us, and it's getting out over the airwaves, they're feeling the pressure up there in Albany, so thank you.
Okay. I think the only person that's left is the police chief and Paul Carr. Oh, you're back.
Supervisor Aguilar, I forgot to mention a couple of points, and I was wondering if I could have about a minute to just
Sure.
wrap up. All right, thank you very much. And as my colleague mentioned, you know it's a real thing if I'm here. I think I bring credibility to our group. So, in talking about the peer-reviewed article, what is most significant about this peer-reviewed article is it proves the manipulation present in New York State voter database right now is a scientific fact. It may provide an explanation of inaccuracies and irregularities. It provides a total loss of control data breach, the most severe kind of data breach recognized by our federal government. The law says it renders the affected New York State voter database completely untrustworthy. It proves the New York Citizens Audit Research Team's data is solid, reliable, and can be replicated. It is not based on opinion and conjecture. It proves that New York State election officials certified provable and accurate elections. They ignored New York Citizens Audit notification of the 2020 election irregularities and proceeded to run this and certify the 2022 election. This is against the black letter rule of law. We ask that you support this effort by signing the resolution for audit today. Thank you. Thank you.
That's just one quick, where's the federal government in all this, or they won't do anything about this? It's just state?
We're at the state, this is for New York State.
I'm just curious. Okay.
The elections are administered by the states.
Yeah, so the oversight is within the state.
Yeah.
I know there's a lot of dead people who will, you know.
We also attended many legislative county meetings, including the Ways and Means Committee, who has oversight over the Board of Elections, so they are involved as well. Thank you.
Okay, hi, thank you. My name is Tammy Topel. I live in the town of Huntington. Okay, Marley Hornick is the Executive Director of New York Citizens Audit, and you have received over the past couple of months some videos, some clips of Marley making her presentation. She also appeared in Lynbrook, and you all received an invitation to which I'm not sure if any of you were able to attend. But I'm going to read something that she has introduced, something called Trust Anchors. And she says that America is a precious jewel, the only nation in which our inalienable right that to live in a sovereign relationship with the God of nature is protected by strictly limiting government powers. Our elections are what guarantees we, the people, choose who represent us and are thus ruled by laws which we approve. The rule of law anchors America in this intrinsic right. There are several laws or anchors in our voting system which our truth in the outcomes is predicated. These are contained in the statement, "One voter, one vote." Citizens trust that only eligible voters are allowed to register. Citizens trust each voter is registered once and can therefore only vote once. Why do we assume this? Because it's the law, and we trust that our elections are lawful. Close examination of the actual voting records in New York reveals that these fundamental trust anchors have become unmoored. Our secure ship is drifting with political tides. 1.1 million unique voters have been assigned to 2.4 million unique State Board of Election ID numbers, resulting in a minimum of 1.3 million excess registrations that can and do cast votes. Upon being presented with the registration data for 300 voters who double voted in the 2020 election, one county board of elections reassured New York Citizens Audit that having two state IDs is not concerning, despite being a clear violation of the state law, and having resulted in 300 provably fraudulent double votes in that county alone. Equally concerning is the sheer volume of clear registration violations, including voters who have as many as 25 unique Suffolk Board of Election ID numbers for the same name, date of birth, and address, but are unknown to those who reside in these homes. The NICE voter database, the actual source for the administration and certification of federal elections, contains millions of registrants who clearly violate residence and other eligibility requirements. NICE voters contain 1.48 million purged records with no purge date. 1.9 million records in the state database missing from the corresponding county databases, a minimum of 70,000 individuals registered after the last voted date, and 6 entire counties more than 100% registered to vote, including the highly populated Nassau, Westchester, and Erie counties. That's highly unusual. Through canvass of suspicious registrations, which is also happening here on Long Island, New York Citizens Audit routinely uncover circumstances worse than suspected. Votes have been added as well as removed. Registrations have been backdated, created, and deleted. When potential voter registers through the DMV, which is now automatic unless someone opts out, the only citizenship verification is blind trust. Unique voters with excess Board of Election IDs have double voted in as many as 38 elections, triple voted as well, and sometimes before any of the registrations were made. This is all laid bare simply by careful examination of publicly available document that is part of our national security infrastructure. That's the New York State voter database. The anchors upon which we the people rely in order to trust our elections have been yanked. The efforts of local officials to resolve the issues are failing, despite the continued assurances that New York State Citizens Audit is misinformed. For example, the Ontario County Board of Elections went as far as to claim that all data provided by this group has been debunked by our peers. Since the data comes from them, they failed to provide any debunking explanations with supporting documents, and the peers are not identified. We are expected to take their word for it. But with the trust anchors cut loose and the ship called New York pulled further and farther away, out to sea, why should we? And that's why we ask that you support our resolution.
Just out of curiosity, you've got 30 towns that are supporting this, and I'm just curious, what kind of traction has that got?
It's got a lot of traction in that, you know, we're putting the heat on the Nassau and Suffolk Board of Elections, the State Board of Elections, and people are scrambling. People are, things have changed in the databases up until this point. Like, people have gone in and changed numbers to make it look like things have reconciled. And this is happening 3 years after the vote. So the pressure is on, and we're just trying to clear up the database.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Chip?
You want to get up? Come to me.
You want to say anything, Chip?
I'm sorry, we speak
Is there anyone
Please
online?
address me as Chip.
You have two people, okay.
Mr. Herreri?
Okay, the last time he was Harari, now he's Esquire.
It's different Ron.
It's a different one.
Talking about us. A different guy. Ron, you're on?
All right, take care. Safe home, everyone.
Ron, you're still there? It's 9:25.
9:20, yep, 5.
Here,
Okay.
I'm here.
Okay.
So, thank you for indulging me again. As you know, the town's council, actually council to the IDA, Nixon Peabody, had filed a lawsuit in federal court alleging that 555 and various members of the Gurmezian family, including those that have appeared before this town board, are part of a racketeering enterprise. And in federal court in the Southern District of New York, the federal judge assigned to the case recently allowed the plaintiffs, Red Rock Sourcing, to amend their complaint to name those same affiliates of the 555 entity that the town is in a co-applicant in a matter before the IDA. The supervisor has publicly denounced the contract of sale as the worst that she's ever seen, and she asserts that she's a real estate professional. It was so bad that before the secret meeting in New York with a member of the town council, Mr. Hubbard also voted against the contract. And the supervisor has publicly stated that she will advocate for termination of the contract as soon as she is legally able to. Do you recall that statement, madam?
Yes, exactly how I stand, and I won't change.
Okay, so can you tell us, at what point do you think you will be legally able to terminate this deal with a group of people the town's own council alleged to be racketeers?
When legal advice is provided to me.
Can you tell us your time frame, or is that just another open-ended?
When they're ready to give us and say this is the time, we've researched it, whatever it is that they have to do legally. You know, you're an attorney, you know sometimes you have to take steps. And when they tell me that it's time, and the town is protected, and you can walk away from the contract, I'll speak to the board, and it'll be a board decision collectively.
Thank you. I can only hope it comes sooner rather than later.
Okay.
Thank you again.
Okay. All right, anyone else? Who?
Laura Jen Smith?
Oh, the former supervisor. She was here before, and now she went home, and she's present, so, okay. Bring her on Zoom.
You are on.
Okay.
Laura?
Laura?
Hello?
Hi. Good evening. I think I finally got it. So I'm just wanting to ask. I know it's late in the evening. You guys have been here for a long time, but several months ago I had come up and asked about an update with the joint application to the IDA, and there was a statement at that time that it would be scheduled. It's several months from now, and I believe that there's been council people that have been asking for that. So I'm curious when that will be scheduled.
Laura, that did happen, and the IDA expressed the fact that, you know, that they're vetting, they have outside people, consultants vetting this, and it should be sometime around September. Okay, so that.
No, I'm not asking for the IDA.
Oh.
There was the question when the town board would have a conversation about it and update the public on the application, the joint application that the town board had before the IDA. I think there's been some discussion that the board was unaware what was being presented in the joint application, and how is that going to be addressed by the board?
Again, the IDA did address the board. They expressed, they came here at a work session and they did that, so probably want to go back and, scrub
No,
through.
I'm not asking about the IDA.
We don't have
I'm
any,
asking
if the
about
contract
the
is
town-
with the IDA, Laura, you should know that. What's our involvement right now?
Well, I believe Tim Hubbard just recently spoke that he was unaware of what the joint application was going to be presented to the IDA. Does the board have no concern about a jet cargo airport, about the warehouses going in? It's not a discussion that the board could consider having
Laura, we have to
about
wait
your joint
until they make their
application. You're
final
all in support
presentation.
of that
We can talk
application
about
as
what
it
ifs and
stands?
buts from here till midnight if you want, but, it's up to you.
Well, I'm just, is the board in support of the application as it stands?
Again, the attorneys are doing their work, their due diligence, they will report back to us. It is a joint.
Well, it's not an attorney matter of that, I'm sorry, but it's the board that approved the application. So you basically put your stamp of approval on what the project would be. Does the board still continue to stand in support of that application?
Absolutely,
For
because it
jet
has a
cargo
drop dead date,
airport
number
and
one. Number
10,000
two,
feet of
Laura,
logistical warehouse for FTAL.
Laura, there's nothing in the application
Is
yet
that
for a
correct?
warehouse or aliens or cargo jets or cruise ships. They haven't, there's nothing there.
Be mindful, you're the one that signed the contract with EPCAL.
So you're saying, okay.
I have it written and I
Mr.
approved
Kern,
it to you.
Councilman Kern, what?
Okay.
So
You signed the
are
application.
in
Unless you know
support
something I don't
Of
know.
the application that is before the IDA? What?
When
You
they're
don't
ready
know
to,
if you-
when they're ready to advise us, tell us where we stand, which way we can go, we'll take their advice. Right now, it's still in the
But
process.
you are all elected officials that have voted on an application for a particular project. Do you all stand in support of that project still?
What project?
That was presented in the joint application that you voted on? Or are you interested in having the applicant that you have a joint application with come back and review that with you?
I would prefer to have them come back and present to me what their current plans are.
And is there support from the rest of the board members for that?
Sure, I support Councilman Hubbard's statement.
So can we expect a meeting within the next week or two?
Come on, Laura. maybe
I think we would have to wait for the IDA, and this, we have 3 councils on that. We have independent counsel, we have the town attorney's office, and we also have, the IDA council. So we should,
You are the elected officials that have
Okay, time's
put
up.
the application forward.
Thank you for your
You are
comments.
the elected officials that put your stamp of approval on that application. Do you continue to support that as a board, yes or no?
Thank you for your comment.
Have a good evening.
You too. Thank
That's
you.
it? Okay.
Chip, you want to get up to the podium, Chip? Chip, get up there and ask.
Paul, you want to come up?
It's still
You were
early.
ready to come up, I know that.
Hi, Grace.
You didn't have
All right,
to.
the family's looking for me. I have
You
to
didn't
get
have
out of
to.
here.
So anyway, I need to end the meeting. Can I have a first and a second?
So moved.
To close this meeting, all in favor, all opposed? So moved. Everyone, please be safe, and it'll be rainy out there the next 2 days, but the weekend looks good. So be safe,